Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I think we're coming into this year with a new confidence.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man. 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
All right, so baseball's good. Softball's good. Really good. Both. Basketball, not so much. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner Jewelers. Here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. I'm David Nuño. He's Olin Buchanan. Today is Monday, February the 26th, 2024. OB, this show might sound very similar to the show that I gave at least, my perspective after the Penn State game. And I've gone this route many times. When you're not good at something, yes, I want you to work on it for sure, but maybe not during the game. If you're not a good singer, maybe don't do Singing with the Stars, whatever their shows are called.
Ashley.
Dancing with the Idols.
What was that girl? Ashley Simpson.
Was she not a good singer?
Well, remember she sang it like the Orange Bowl, and she was so bad she got booed off stage and killed her career.
Carl Lewis, don't sing the national anthem.
Oh man,
right?
That was horrible.
There's certain A&M is not a good three-point shooting team. They're a streaky three-point shooting team. But I feel like when that's their only option, it really is their only option. They embrace that, and I get it. Teams are not going to give them lanes anymore because they know that's how they score. But sorry. Like, I'm looking at some of these numbers. You don't shoot over 33s when you're not a good three-point shooting team. That's just long rebounds and chances for transition buckets for other teams.
Well, to your point, after a poor shooting night in Knoxville, A&M on three-pointers ranks 349th in the nation out of 351 teams in three-point percentage. Yet, they are tied with Oklahoma State for 70th in the country
in attempts,
in three-point attempts.
Yeah, I had the staff look into Buzz and the Aggies' record the last few years, right during their climb, because they have been a nice program the last few years. In games, okay, Buzz Williams' record when they take 30 or more threes, okay, in the last 3 years, Aggies, not just Buzz Williams, Aggies' record. In the games that don't go to overtime, they're 3-4, which is actually a better record than I expected. I thought it would be worse. When they shoot 25-plus threes, in 2021, they were 3-5. In 2022, they were 2-3. 2023. Matthew, did you write these stats?
Yes, I did.
Does it say 8-5?
This is 8-5. But like also a lot of the times like when they're shooting threes, it was a lot of the non-conference games. So
gotcha.
If you look at just SEC, it's a lot worse.
Record when they shoot 25-plus threes and less than 22% from the field, 0-5. So to shoot when your percentage is that low, and by the way, all season long they've been about a 27% three-point shooting team. Don't shoot 25 or more. It's basically the moral of the story.
But here's the deal: what are they going to do? Because there's no low post offense, right? You don't have a scorer down low, so you're not going to do that. And you said yourself, teams have wised up to what A&M does, so they're doing everything they can to take away the drive for Wade Taylor and Boots Radford.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think if you're going to do something,
right,
you drive more. Like, okay, foul me.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying there's
not a lot of options.
This is what you've got.
Yeah.
You've built a team with nobody that you can dump the ball into to score inside. You know, that you can run your offense through them in the low post. You just don't have it. I don't have a consistent three-point shooting team. In fact, I have some of the worst three-point shooting in the country. And I've got two guys that can drive, and everybody knows it, and so they're trying to take that away. And if they get fouled, if A&M's fouling, they're not shooting well at the free throw line now.
So what was different last year? I mean, we're not going to – it's not as simple saying Dexter Dennis, Julius Marble. It can't be that simple.
Well, I think it's a big part of it. I mean, it's 40% of your starting lineup. And whereas I've always maintained that Julius is not the cure. They would be.
They'd be better.
We can all acknowledge they would be better. At least,
for sure.
At least Julius gives you something. And Dexter was a better player than what they have now at that spot. But yeah, I don't know.
Some more stats to look into. All right, so as I said, when they shoot 22% from three and they shoot more than 25%, more than 25 threes, 25 or more, they're 0-5. When they take 10+, and they make 10+, I should say, they're 13-3. Seems like the sweet spot for them is balance. How do you get balance? You got to hit a couple threes. They did against Tennessee. Just Wade. Wade hit threes to start.
He hit 3 threes in the first 5 minutes and didn't have another one the rest of the game.
Right.
A&M had, I think it was about 8 minutes to go, give or take. Jace Carter hit his second three in A&M's fifth of the first half to forge a 24-24 tie. A&M had 2 more the rest of the game, and one was really late, and they lose by 35. So there is no real offense. It doesn't appear to be. I don't know what their offensive system is, other than let's put the ball in Boots' hands and see if he can't dribble down the shot clock, and then at some point make a drive and try to get a layup or kick it out, maybe to Wade. And if Wade's on, he can be. If Wade's on, he can score 30 in any night. But it's getting harder and harder for him to carry this team. And he's had 4 games where he's been good sometimes, but he's not been spectacular.
No,
and unfortunately, Wade has to be spectacular every game.
He does. And by the way, what Wade and Boots have done the last few games combined is what typically they do in one game. Wade in this most recent slump, 11 points, 10 points, 18 points in the 4-game losing streak. Okay? Boots, who on the year is averaging 15 points a game, he's averaging 15.5 in those last 4 games, but the last 2 games, only 11 points. So combined between Boots and Wade, your offense is giving you 22 points a game in the last 2 games.
And you know what? Typically, you don't hold it against a guy for scoring in double figures. Hey, he scored in double figures. Yeah. But the way this team has evolved or devolved, those guys have to combine, it appears, for more than 30, maybe closer to 40 for A&M to have a chance. It appears, right?
Right.
So
Buzz Williams has seen more basketball in his sleep than I've seen in my entire life, and I've watched a lot of basketball, as you have too. So it's not as simple as I make it. I know that. Like I'm being very honest with you. It's not as simple. Don't take that many threes. Well, what else are we going to do, David? I understand that. My thing is, this is why you're the head coach of an SEC school. You got to figure it out. And he has figured it out to his credit in years past.
He has. Because quite frankly, let's be honest. Beyond this year, he has to do a better job of assembling a team that doesn't have so many limitations.
Yeah.
Recruiting is part of the job. And it's hard. I get it. And he doesn't have a great arena to recruit to. And everybody, Waco, Baylor has a really nice place. Texas has a nice place. I think Houston has a nice place. All these people you're recruiting against have really nice places. And A&M has a functional place. And you can say, well, that shouldn't matter. Well, we think it matters in football, right?
Yeah.
So that's difficult. But you also individually have to work hard.
But here's the thing. Like, these coaches around college football and in the SEC are smart people. But it's like they've been Jekyll and Hyde all season long, but this is different Jekyll and Hyde. They're getting blown out against good teams, as opposed to early in the season. Houston, probably the best team they played this year.
Well, Houston, Alabama, Tennessee, all 3 of those.
Right.
And they played great. But you know what? Wade went crazy.
He went crazy.
So I think you're seeing Wade, and Wade would say no, and maybe Buzz would say no, but Wade, I think, is feeling he is maybe mentally beat down from having to
carry the team.
To like, hey Wade, man, we need you to score 20 points every single night for us to have a chance.
This team, look, they're not making the tournament at this point.
Well, they're 58th, the last I saw in the net rankings, and if it's not the end all be all, but it is a guideline, and if 58's not going to get in.
No. Well, and what are they? 6 and 8 in the SEC? Is that right?
Yes.
After being 6 and 4.
Yeah.
After being 2 games out of first. Again, it is the opposite. It is the bizarro world, as I like to use that term, of what they normally do in February.
Yep.
And they started February like, their best win of the year.
Yeah.
Since their best win of the year, it's like they took the magic potion, the purple pill, whatever that movie was, and now it's gone backwards.
I thought after they beat Tennessee, they're like, hey, A&M's going to do what they do under Buzz Williams. It got to be February, and now they're going to make this surge. And they they won 2 games, including beating Tennessee. And you're thinking, here we go. And then that face plant in Nashville,
now
followed by the blowout at Alabama, followed by the letting one get away against Arkansas, and then followed by another blowout in Tennessee.
I'm not predicting this, OB. I'm not. I'm just talking out loud. If they win out, do they get into the tournament at 10 and 8?
Yeah, probably, because I think Mississippi State's going to be a good win. But
and South Carolina would be a good win.
South Carolina would be a good win. But seriously, at this point, why would you expect A&M to win a road game?
You think they beat South Carolina on Wednesday?
I don't know. I know if I was looking at the line, whatever it is, I'd stay away from it.
Yeah.
Because now I was thinking, they have their troubles on the road, but at home they play so well, and then they lost to Arkansas. I wouldn't say no,
right, that
they can't win. But don't you have to take into account just the way they're playing?
Yeah, they're not just trending in a bad direction. They're again, this team used to not get blown out. They've gotten blown out 2 out of the last 3 games. They lost to one of the worst teams in the SEC. They lost to one of the worst teams in the SEC here in this stretch. It is bad. I
mean, it's to the point that there's a good chance. I'd have to look at the standings right now, but there's a good chance that they will play on the first night of the SEC tournament.
A team that started the season number 15 in the country, perception-wise, right?
15 or 16, something like that.
Yeah, and I see the parallels, Derek, on Jimbo and the Ags. I do see the parallels. But look, even though I have very little faith at the current moment, I've seen enough from Wade Taylor in his career to snap out of it. I've seen enough from Boots Radford to snap out of it. And I've seen enough from Buzz to figure things out. But again, that runway is running out of time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they definitely have the ability to go out and Wade have a big game and Boots have a big game and, get some, guys get some complimentary scoring and all those things and play better defense and win a game.
Yep.
But you do wonder how consistent they can be at this point. By the way, A&M is now 1 game out of playing of the first round bye. In the 4 worst teams in the conference play the first day.
Yeah.
And A&M is now 1 game out of. And if they were to tie with Arkansas or Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt's not going to be an issue, but Arkansas could be. If they tied with Arkansas would because they beat A&M twice. So
twice.
It's a very precarious situation for them.
Yeah, not a good spot. If you want to be part of the conversation this morning, look, we will talk some baseball. We have to talk some baseball. Baseball was fantastic. We'll get into that. We got Schloss coming up at 9 o'clock with Brauninger, obviously. We got JB Moss at 9:35 and Liucci the entire 10 o'clock hour. Let's do this. Let's open up the phone lines. How are you feeling about basketball? I know how you're feeling. But if you want to vent, if you want to talk about it, let's do it. 979-693-1150. That is 979-693-1150. That's the way to get in touch with the show. Do you have faith they can figure it out with what's left on the schedule? Let's go around the room and say hello to the people. Nick Savage is behind the glass. Nick, good morning, buddy. Not Nick Savage. No, Nick is in jail. I didn't realize that he had not gotten parole. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News.
Was he? Huh? Did he avoid like a bike cop or something? Or
yeah, he ran away from the bike cop.
He didn't see the bike cop. Okay.
We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Matthew Dawson's there. By the way, Nick is not in jail currently.
He's not in jail, but he did evade the bike cop, though, so he
That
got
is
out
true.
of there.
He belongs in jail.
He might get a ticket later on. You know, he might get that in the mail.
His mom is listening. He is doing great. He's back there. So just he's fine, Mrs.
He seemed to
Savage.
be married, though, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like being a...
They
call it the ball and chain.
Hey. Well, let's get into it.
Blow.
I'm just kidding, honey.
Women's softball, Emily Kennedy. Let's talk about her. Took a no-hitter into extra innings. 16 strikeouts with 26 batters faced. What are we talking about? 16 Ks. That's a career high for her. And then in extra innings, let's talk about Trinity Cannon.
Yep.
Launches the ball like cannons do. Grand slam, walk-off. There we go.
See, you both, I wish we could rewind the tape. You acknowledged his dad joke or his dad headline, and you paused the way OB pauses just to make sure that we heard your line. Just for the record, I saw that. The whole thing happened.
No, I understand.
Like the
OB, I think we understand each other a
kindred
little
spirits
bit.
here.
Yes.
We're like kind of the old Dean Smith, North Carolina basketball teams when somebody got an assist, you know, they would always point out.
The point. There you go. Nice job.
Yep, did you get that one? Yep. All right. And then also, the women's swim and dive team came in third place at the SEC Championships. Men's swim and dive team came in fourth at the SEC Championships. So, Lamara Diston, how about shattering women's NCAA high jump record and wins her third SEC title. Just became the first collegiate woman to jump over 2 meters, which is 6'6" 3/4 inches.
Pretty incredible.
So that is absolutely absurd. And women's basketball dropped to Auburn. Unfortunately,
bad
41.
third quarter for them. A bunch of turnovers.
Right, exactly. And it came coming off a great win off Arkansas. You know, thought maybe, hey, we can carry the momentum, but they're still figuring it out offensively. I believe in them and Joni Taylor. And let's turn to college football a little bit. Let's talk about Georgia State. Why am I talking about Georgia State? Why am I talking about Georgia State? Well,
Trooper Taylor.
However, he's not getting hired as Georgia State's head coach. That's going to go to Dell McGee, who's the running back coach at Georgia for the last couple of years. Since Kirby Smart started there, I believe, in 2018, Dell McGee's been there, and he's going to be taking that spot. Trooper Taylor did, according to Matt Zenitz of 24/7, he did get interviews for that job.
Yep.
But unfortunately for A&M fans, Trooper Taylor will be staying as Texas A&M Aggie.
Whoop.
Giga. I'm going to read this one from Calvin. Calvin's a big basketball guy.
All right.
And he came after me, not in a mean way, like when I was like, hey, it's February, we're going to turn it on, you know? And then when they turned it on against Tennessee, he sent a message saying, hey, I was wrong. You were right, Nuño. Well, right now, Calvin is right. And Calvin says, Nuño, it's worse. Not only is A&M not a good three-point shooting team, they're not a good team, period. Buzz's history of February improvements hasn't materialized this year. Saturday was embarrassing.
Well, you know, we always say it's like the financial advisors. They always say, you know, past results or past performance does not guarantee
future success.
Future results. Yeah. Here we are. Stocks down.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back. Got to talk about baseball, right?
Oh, talk a lot of baseball.
Yeah. You know, I really like the tweets from Hayden Schott. I don't know if you saw those about Jace. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Right now, though, Association of Former Students, 12 under 12. Did you or someone you know graduate from Texas A&M within the last 12 years? Are you leading by example in business and in service? If so, the Association of Former Students would like to invite you to nominate yourself or someone that you know for the 12 under 12 Young Alumni Spotlight. Each year, the association recognizes a dozen Aggies who have graduated within the last 12 years for their business accomplishments, civic or military service, philanthropic efforts, and outstanding representation of A&M's core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service. So previous year honorees have included leaders in business and higher education, architects, petroleum engineers, nonprofit executives, physicians, and veterans, and members of the U.S. Armed Forces. 2024 nominations close on Sunday, March 31st, so be sure to submit a nomination soon. To learn more about the recognition and submit a nomination, visit tx.ag/12under12 nominations. And we are back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio, the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They can write any form of insurance to anyone in Texas and several other states. They've got over 50 offices here in Texas. The headquarters is on Highway 6 here in College Station. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. Go to rolloinsurance.com. He's OB. I'm David Nuño. OB, let's talk baseball. I love seeing this. I'm looking at A&M's offense. When, by the way, to me, more of the storyline is the pitching. But offensively, Braden Montgomery leading the team in batting, .423 batting average with 3 home runs, 12 RBI. Good?
That's good. That's,
pretty good, right?
That's real good.
He's a newcomer, right?
Yeah.
Number 2, Ali Camarillo, batting .409.
He must have had an off weekend.
Yeah, 409.
to be down to 409.
He's with 9 hits on the year. Number 3, another newcomer, Gavin Grahovic, batting .400. All right. He's got, is it just one home run? Yeah, just one home run on the year. And then Jace is your fourth guy, batting .385, 5 homers. Did not hit a home run this weekend. More on that in a second. Fifth, Ted Burton, newcomer. A lot of newcomers already in that list right there.
Yeah, now, they are pounding the baseball, usually on Fridays and Sundays, right? They're just pounding the baseball. And I think it's good that they've had to win pitching on Saturdays. Now, here's the deal. It's like you've talked about. It's fun. It's great. It's exciting. It's bad competition. All right, let's see who they're going to be when that. I guess it's this weekend when they.
Yeah, they're gonna when we're gonna be there.
Better competition, and so don't expect 21 runs when they go play USC and Arizona State and teams like that. But I think you can be more optimistic about the way they've played against the teams they're supposed to beat.
Look, while everything you're saying is totally valid and true, every team in the country pretty much is taking on like all the
and they're losing,
and some of them are losing. When you score 17 in a game and think, man, I don't know how they're going to be able to do that again, and then you follow it up a day later or 2 days later and score 21 runs when you brought in everybody played in that. They could have scored 30. I mean, they kept on bringing people in.
Yeah, like I said, it's exciting. I believe in them. I believe in Coach Schlossnagle. I think I'm starting to get conditioned, though, to say, hey, I'm going to celebrate these wins. Look how awesome that is. But I got to see, not score 21, not score 17, but I got to see you go out and hit and beat teams of your ilk.
But, since we're doing the but game, but if they would have lost these games, it would mean everything.
It would. It's kind of like had A&M a couple of years ago in football beaten Appalachian State. Right. So what? But when you lose,
it's a big deal.
Okay, there's some problems here. But I get it. It's different in baseball. Who was it? Vanderbilt? Several SEC teams that are ranked. I think South Carolina. I can't remember. But I guarantee if you went down the last weekend's results, you'll see some losses by teams. You say, well, how did they lose to that team? It happens.
Mississippi State's got 4 losses. Ole Miss has got 4 losses. Arkansas's got 2. Then the rest of the SEC West, you've got Auburn with 1 loss, LSU with 1 loss, A&M and Alabama undefeated on the year. That's the West. And there's a few undefeated teams in the East. Or 1 in the East.
Yeah, so it is different in baseball. I really look forward to this weekend to see what they do this weekend.
Yeah, and if they sweep them or if they win the 3, it doesn't mean they're going to Omaha, and if they lose the 3, it doesn't mean they're not. Like no. It is baseball. It is early, but like I like to do, and I did with that A&M basketball before they went on their downward trajectory. I used the eyeball test, and I saw a couple of games for A&M basketball, not too many. They said, hey, they're trending in the right direction, and then they trended in the right direction against Tennessee. Now they've gone south. Eyeball test for this baseball team: they can pitch, they can strike people out, and they can hit home runs.
Well, to that point, you said. And you just touched on it, but you said to open it up that you think the story is the pitching.
Yep.
Well, they're throwing the ball over the plate, and again, that is what was such an issue last year. And it doesn't matter the caliber of competition in that situation. You're getting up to bat. If you can't throw the ball over the plate against whoever's, I know sometimes you paint the corners a little bit more, but the point is that last year they just couldn't throw strikes, and this year they are. And I think that right there is an indication that they're significantly better.
They've played 7 games. They've walked 13 dudes.
Yeah, and that would be some days a game.
Yeah.
Literally.
So and Ryan Brauninger, 19 strikeouts on the year. He had 10 this Friday. The guy is
9
just –
10.
I mean, goodness gracious, right?
Yeah, I know Richard Zane's excited about him.
You think? That whole column, like, shalom. That was awesome. Congrats. No, Prager's been great. And by the way, like, Tanner Jones comes in and does a nice job, faces the minimum. Like, let's go. Like, looking good.
Now, all the indicators are very positive, and again, you have a coach you believe in, and you've got guys who are proven everything.
Look, and I'm sorry, there is a difference with Max Wiener so far. It is different. Like, these pitchers are good. He is, so far, it is working perfectly. And I don't expect it to continue to be this level of great, right? Like, it can't. You're in the SEC. Every team you play is really good. Like, maybe even more than football, how good the SEC is, right? Like, in baseball.
I wonder if they're not going to, once they get into SEC play, I really wonder if that offense might be, I'm not saying they can't be as productive as they are now, but
will they be better?
It just seems to me, and I'm not watching them, I'm more listening to the radio and the way pitchers are being described, but it seems to me that off-speed pitching seems to give them some trouble. And when you get into conference play, when you got guys that are, more, you see more power pitchers, and I wonder how that's going to work. They may, because those are the guys that it seems like they're.
What did we say about Buzz? You can't look at history for future success.
It's true.
But if you're going to just play this game on sports radio, because we can, Jace Lavalette got better last year in SEC play.
He did.
So I'm just saying, like, if.
Let's just see how they develop.
All right, let's hit a break.
See how they develop.
When we come back, OB, I do want to talk about the storming of the court, Duke game in Wake Forest. I do want to talk about that. But I also want to say this. If you ain't about that life, I don't care if you leave. You know what I'm talking about? If you're not a part of that life, OB, I don't care if you enter the transfer portal.
Oh, the transfer portal.
I don't care.
Yeah.
If you're not about it,
I know what you're talking about.
Hold your thoughts. If you're about that life, I don't want you to leave. Right now, Milliken Reserve Time, farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces, and their mission is to build a healthy community around nature. They're dedicated to treading lightly on the land that you can find Milliken Reserve on because they've created a sanctuary for family, for nature, and for community. They're dedicated to the conservation of that beautiful, healthy community out there, respect for the native landscape and wildlife. They've got 2,600 acres of open space. They've got 30 miles of trails, and they've got homes out there. They connect families to nature, and they connect families to each other. That's really what they do. When you go to Milliken Reserve, you can purchase land and live out there. It is a beautiful community. But you are just in the area or you're around, go and just hang out there, guys. You can go and enjoy the extensive network of trails. They've got a wooded landscape throughout all these walking and equestrian paths. They got the creeks, they got the ponds, they got the gathering areas. It's a place for families to cherish generation after generation. And you can find all the animals you want there, the white-tailed deer, the songbirds, the rabbits, the turtles, and homeowners at Milliken Reserve sharing a legacy of conservation, which means generation after generation coming back to that pristine countryside place. You can go hiking there, biking, canoeing, kayaking, equestrian trails, evening yoga, the summer camps, the music festivals, the farmer market tours, and the farm tours. Learn more at millikenreserve.com. That is millikenreserve.com. All right, we're back on TexAgs Radio. I see a bunch of text messages that are coming in. We'll try to get to those here in a moment. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Reminder, Angry Elephant this weekend, Saturday. I'll be there with Billy Liucci at the one at Little Elm. You want to hang out with us there in the Metroplex, 5 to 7 o'clock. We'll be doing a Q&A, enjoying Aggie sports and chit-chatting, and I'm sure we'll be there a little bit longer than that. But come hang out with us. I'll get more details because I know some people are asking about if they can bring kids or not. I'll get those answers for you here by hopefully the end of the show. I've sent out an email to Greg over there, so hopefully we'll know the answer to that and we can kind of share. But hopefully you can come. I've said hopefully a lot of times. It would be fun to hang out with many of you. And yes, I'm looking at the schedule. Let's see. Arizona State on Friday for Texas A&M baseball. That game's at 6 o'clock there at Globe Life Field. Saturday, March 2nd, the day we'll be at the Angry Elephant. They play USC, and that game's at 2 o'clock. They play Arizona State again on March the 3rd at 11 a.m. I do not know why they're not playing TCU. I'm not sure the reason behind it, but that is their schedule right there, OB.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking forward to that March 5th game over at Texas. That'll be fun. I expect them to continue to play well and continue to win.
Yep.
I'm just saying that I've been conditioned by other sports to say, okay, I'm only going to celebrate to a certain level with these early games.
So I was talking about Jacoby Matthews on the other side.
Yeah.
Look, I don't want to lose Jacoby Matthews. I want to make sure that I'm clear about that. I don't. But there's a mindset when you go from one regime to the next, and you've got to basically change the culture and what was expected from before and what's expected now. If you're not about that life, then it's probably not the right place for you, right? Like, I'm okay with you leaving if you're not going to reach the standard that we have set.
Yeah, I wonder what all the issues are. You know, who knows? Could it be that all the DBs that A&M brought in through the transfer portal, could that have affected Jacoby's decision to move on? I don't know. But I'll say this. I think Jacoby's a good player.
Yeah.
But I do think A&M's going to be just fine at that safety position. So wish him the best.
This is, to me, though, like if I'm taking over an organization, a program, TexAgs Social Center, right? And if there was a standard that wasn't met before, right? Mm-hmm. This is what I expect. And if you can't do it, hey, man, I like you. I'll give you a reference letter to go somewhere else. Right. But you don't need to be here because this is what I expect from you.
100% agree with that.
And I think people who don't live up to that standard bring down the rest.
Oh, and that happens in not just in football. That happens in every kind of situation, right? So
I'll shake your hand. I'll look you in the eye. I'll look, man, this is what we expect.
This isn't going to work here.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I do not know what the issues were. I just know that there's a new coach. There's a bunch of people at your position coming in, and you've been a nice player here.
Really nice. Yeah.
Haven't done anything to make me.
I like you.
So
I want you to stay.
So wish you the best.
But what is
I'm not going to worry about that position because I think they're going to be in pretty good shape there.
This is not about Jacoby. But what does it say about somebody? I don't know the specifics. Billy hasn't really. If you watch his Ask Liucci, he goes a little bit into it. But like my thing is, like, what does it say about you when you run from the new standard? And I'm not saying this is Jacoby. I'm saying in general. If you're a Navy SEAL, if you're a banker, if you're a weightlifter, whatever it is, whatever walk of life you're in, if there is a new and you're like, and it's 2 weeks in and you can't do it, or it's not about.
Here's what I'll say. Again, not knowing any more than I know about the situation is, here's a guy that started a lot of games last year, and he's moving on, and there may be some kind of issues with the new way things are done.
Yep.
To me, while not vilifying Jacoby and again wishing him the best, that's one of those indicators that makes me feel better about this program.
Yeah.
About the coach that you have in charge that's going to say, hey, you know what? This is our standard. This is our procedure. This is how we're going to do things, and we're going to stay true to that, no matter if it costs us a guy that played a lot of games last year.
Duke's Kyle Flapowski.
Yeah.
Like Kelly Kapowski. Were you a big Kelly Kapowski fan?
I was
Saved by the Bell, I mean.
I was a fan of
the show.
Tiffany
Amber Thiessen and Lark Voorhees, Mark Paul Goss. What was it? Mark Paul Gosselaar.
I was just a fan of
Mario
Tiffany's.
Lopez.
Yeah.
I bet you liked the way he dressed.
I liked
tank tops at school.
I didn't really.
No?
I saw the show before, but I was too old for it. But people heard about it. But again, I was more of a fan of Tiffany and the tall one that ruined her career.
Oh, by doing the dance movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that
Never
called?
really heard from again.
I don't remember. But anyway, Kelly Kapowski is not the name. Duke's Kyle Flipkowski. So I don't know if you've done the Zapruder film on the video, but let's look at the original angle that we saw after. So Duke loses to Wake Forest, and I think we have the video. Hopefully, we have the video. There it is, and it looked like Kyle
looks like he put out his foot to trip a kid. In fact, that would get you probably an offensive foul.
By the way, I probably would have done the same thing. If I see a bunch of people coming my way and they're like, I'm taking them out too. And I'm not saying it's right, but like that, I hate that this generation and these fans in particular are going to ruin court storming and field storming.
But okay, I get it. One guy kind of pushes him because he sees the guy.
When you watch it in fast motion, it looks like,
I could be dead wrong, but when I watch that,
that guy pushed him afterwards.
I see a guy pushes, but I see the Duke player stick out his right leg and trip somebody who's not doing anything to him. He's going to run right past him.
But think about how you would feel in that scenario where people are running at you, thousands of people, hundreds of people running at you. Like, I might be putting my elbows up too. Come my way, you're going to get knocked out, bro.
Well, and then if you did that, then you should be facing the
should
repercussion.
You?
Yes.
Should you if they run on the court?
Well, like
I mean, I know the Alabama player, Jermaine Burton.
That was kind of the same situation.
That was a lady, though.
Okay, so it's okay to punch somebody that's not bothering you.
No,
or trip somebody.
It's never okay, but I understand.
I'm just saying, if you want to say that they need to do away with court storming and all that's okay. I'm not going to argue that. I'm just saying when I'm looking at that, from what it appears to me from that angle,
he was the aggressor.
He was the aggressor, and then they're trying to make, what a victim he was.
Right.
Well, maybe nobody pushes you if you don't purposely trip somebody because you're pissed off that you got beat.
Right. I think all things can be true. Like, he shouldn't have done what he did. And I also understand the fear factor of
that didn't look like somebody was afraid to me.
It looked like he was mad.
Yeah, because if it's a fear factor, why am I not covering up? If I'm afraid that
put the video up again.
In fact, if it's a fear factor, why? I mean,
he's he's leaning towards him.
And even not only does he trip the guy, but then he uses his left arm to kind of push away. No, there's nothing in the mirror that shows me, I'm afraid for my safety until he trips the guy and somebody pushes him. And now that the guy from Duke is being made out to be a victim, and you can say, people shouldn't storm the court. We hear that all the time, and there's a $100,000 fine if you do it in the SEC and all those things. I get it. But to make the guy out to be a victim when he was the one that tripped somebody that wasn't attacking him.
Well,
I'm sorry, I can't.
But if they don't run at him,
if they're running under the court, they're on the court. I don't think they're running at him. The guy's running away from him. It's just like when the Aggies, when they beat Alabama, you saw Aggies coming out of the stands of Kyle Field and running on.
Don't they make an announcement? You can be arrested for coming on the field. You can be arrested for coming on the court. They're breaking a rule.
Yeah, but then they do it anyway.
So what if it's a streaker at a game and they run into the player?
I think you are misinterpreting what I'm saying. If you want to say, look, you got to do something to completely eradicate field storming and court storming, okay. That's not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing
that he was being the aggressor.
That he was the aggressor, so don't make him out to be the victim. The guy he tripped wasn't coming at him. He was running past him.
I like your passion, so I want to take this a step further. If we're in the press box, okay, and some weirdo does what court storming, runs through the press box, and they're running right down the lane. You know how narrow it is between where we sit there when we're sitting with everybody, right? And they come to your way. Are you gonna push your chair back and give them a little bit of the OB business?
I'm probably, in all honesty, gonna avoid them.
Yeah.
Now, and if they came to me and put hands on me, then I would do whatever, I would try to defend myself, right? But And I sure as hell wouldn't be if the guy ran by and I shoved him.
By the way,
oh gosh, I'm the victim here.
I do agree with you that he was the aggressor. The only thing that I'm saying is if those people aren't running at him, he's not aggressive.
You could say that you could have said that for the Alabama guy that clocked the girl.
Jermaine Burton, yeah.
You know, I mean, you can say that any how many times do you see court?
And I didn't want him to be suspended, for the record.
How many times do you see people storm the field or storm the court and nobody gets hurt? Again, I'm not saying they should do it.
By the way,
how do you stop it?
How do you stop it? If a player gets touched, it's $1 million fine.
Again, how do you stop? Who's paying it?
The university. So university better figure out.
So what are they going to do to stop it?
You got to put more ropes. I don't know. You got to get more staff around.
If you can identify, if there's contact, if you can identify who did it, you can either kick them out of school or fine them so much that like if you don't park. Or if you park somewhere and get a parking ticket, they won't give you your diploma or whatever.
Right.
So maybe that's the deterrent.
Yep.
But then you got to identify them.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you could identify somebody based on that video.
I also understand, hey, this is what makes college sports unique, right? I do
think this that pro and college sports are trying to limit fans. Sometimes I understand so much that then you wonder when fans are going to say, well, you know what? We're just not going to go. And then you'll hear the college and pro sports complain about fans not showing up.
Yep. Let's hit a break. We'll get to the text messages. Some of you are passionate about it. You can even call us, 979-693-1150. Right now, it's time to not replace it. You need to lift it with Ascend Concrete Lifting and Support, 979-933-8527. They are locally owned, Aggie-owned and operated concrete lifting support company providing an easy, clean service at half the price of replacement. They're problem solvers when it comes to most concrete issues. They have raising jobs that'll take a few hours, start to finish, and your concrete will be ready to use immediately upon completion. They're honest. They've got 60 years of professional construction and concrete experience. Brian Dickerson is an Aggie. He does it all. They're going to educate you about the lifting process and the materials that they use and make you feel completely comfortable with what they're going to do with your concrete. They're going to show you why the concrete tends to settle, the poor soil conditions, the poor compaction, tree roots, poor drainage as well. Call them up, 979-933-8527, local, statewide, and nationwide. They'll do residential service out there, give you an honest opinion about your residents, your commercial building, factory floors, apartment complexes, your industrial and municipal areas, roads, street, highways, bridges, and approaches. 979-933-8527. Don't replace it. Lift it with Ascend Concrete Lifting and Support. 979-933-8527. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We got some text messages. We've got some news and notes. Matthew Dawson.
Well, before we get into text messages, let's also acknowledge A&M track and field again. We talked about Lamar Diston a little bit earlier, but let's talk about, they did well at the SEC tournament. I believe they came in 4th in the women's track and field standings and 3rd in the men's track and field standings. They will be competing in the NCAA Indoor Championships. When is that? March 8th and March 9th in Boston, Massachusetts. So we're going to be super excited for the Texas A&M Aggie track and field team. We'll be following that very, very closely. Now let's get into some text messages.
Well, shout out to my guy, Pat Henry. That's my dude right there.
Of course. Shout out Coach Henry. Let's get into some text messages here. Matt in San Antonio says, ugly basketball game. No sugarcoating it. We've gone from Texas A&M will be in the tournament to should be in the tournament to can be in the tournament in just a few weeks. With their backs against the wall, they have at most one game for air. Do they only have one game for air, or do they even have that?
You beat South Carolina, I think.
I think South Carolina, this game cannot be overstated how important it is.
Yep. I think it'd be, you know what, it would be nice? Of course it'd be nice. This is not real insight. Beat South Carolina convincingly where you get back to what you do, giving you the players in that locker room the confidence that they can finish out.
I think Mississippi State might actually be the highest ranked net opponent remaining.
Maybe be a tough one. Mississippi State's having the year that A&M should have had 2 weeks ago.
And they have the big rim protector that gives A&M problems, Tulu Smith.
What else, Matthew?
Well, from an unnamed texter, we got shout out the Texas A&M club baseball team for sweeping Texas Tech in their home opener series this past weekend. A certain TexAgs employee,
okay, Thomas Romo,
who works on the show,
no Cade.
Threw 5 2/3 innings and Saturday night and got the W. So
Cade is a baller.
Now, if
basketball and baseball.
If you're a skeptic like me, I did in fact cross-reference the numbers. They're not the same. So Cade did not just send this in himself just to boost his morale.
No, but his mom did.
Possibly.
Mrs. Cade.
It's the same area code. So
Mississippi State is 28th in the net right now.
5 straight wins. 5 straight wins for Mississippi State.
A&M had a really high net? Okay.
I remember.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying that 5 straight wins for Mississippi State. They're getting after it. But and then Sandman23 in the chat also says ticket price for November 30th are going to be stupid. How much would you be willing to pay OB for nosebleed seats to that game?
To which game?
To A&M Texas.
November 30th.
Football.
I'm the type of guy that is fine watching on TV.
Yeah, I'm totally fine. I think
I have a party at my house.
This is how we lose listeners because we live such a charmed life that we would like, you know what, I'll pass. I'm good.
To watch that game, I'd pay a couple $100 for a ticket. But
I spent $50 on dinner the other day. I was like, this is gonna sting.
I mean, if it was something like, hey, if it's something I was never gonna do again, okay. But I've seen them play Texas and Texas A&M many times.
See, you're paying for your ticket and Mrs. Buchanan's ticket, right? So
no, she's paying for her own.
Yeah, they're gonna split that up.
You want to come? You can pay your own, honey.
OB, thank
like
you,
that
sir.
attitude.
You bet.
When we come back, he's here in studio. Jim Schlossnagle, Ryan Brauninger, David Nuño, that's me, and you will be all a part of it next on TexAgs Radio. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. A little baseball talk. Jim Schlossnagle in studio. Ryan Brauninger's here. Hey, Jim, I told you before we started, everybody's probably told you, but congrats on 900 and the 3 wins this weekend.
Yeah, thanks.
Does it just make you feel old?
What did Satchel Paige say? Satchel Paige said, how old would you be if you didn't know how old you are? So I don't feel 53. But yeah, 900's that's a lot of ball games. But just looking for 901 right now.
I thought it was cool that Targo was the one that announced it, especially after the day he had.
Yeah, because I was planning on, and I still probably will give him that lineup card. As long as I got a ball from the deal, that's a little memento for me and my family. But yeah, so super happy for Targo, man. Just what an awesome human being, and glad he had a great day. You could see the weight of the world come off his shoulders when he hit that home run.
Yeah.
Well, you were there. Should we talk for a quick moment?
We have to start with this because it was one of the bigger moments in our company's history. After years, and see, this was before you got to College Station. For years, we've heard about how accurate this guy is. He threw out Jose Cruz Jr. in high school on the backfields of Sugar Land, Texas. And then all this hype, all this talk, he walks out there. I had to get to the ballpark early and catch him down in the indoor cages. And you made him look really good because he short hops a fastball.
He did, and I don't know if we had insurance on that, but maybe I could have gotten something out of the deal if I had an injury. But what happened was he was playing good catch with me out in front of the dugout. I think he might have said from like Field of Dreams, "Hey, Dad, you want to have a catch?" And so I said, "Sure, son."
Well played.
But
so clip that, Nick.
But no, he was playing good catch early, but what spooked him was Section 203.
Ball 5.
The ball 5 spooked him. I tried to get it in the strike zone, but no, I love Billy. He did a great job.
The best thing was on Saturday, 10-year-old in a 12 baseball hat from the mound, just dots a fastball.
I saw that.
And then yesterday, I had like a 5-year-old that bounced it in the same vicinity that Billy did.
Yeah.
Both from the mound.
I thought he actually threw better than I expected because it can be scary. Like all those people, ball 5.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I've done it a couple times, and especially if you don't get loose. But he got loose, like Elko, and so Coach Elko texted me this morning and said, "Congrats on the weekend and overcoming Liucci." So, so that was legit.
Hey, how good? I mean, I'm sure for you, especially with conference play not that far away, to get so many bats in there and just so many different players this weekend. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime, this time of year, you got to win the games. I mean, I was Chuck Box reminded me yesterday of a line I gave our team last year's in college baseball. You're kind of always in the playoffs. Like we're in the playoffs right now because every game means so much, and will mean so much down the road. But getting the opportunity to get guys at bats is big, especially those young players, because we're going to be counting on them if somebody goes down or if somebody cools off a little bit, and we look to give other people opportunities. I mean, guys like Sorrell, Jack Bell, Jet Johnston. There's a lot of pitchers down there. I still haven't gotten Bowden in the game, and we love him. So it's those innings are hard to come by, but I just want them to know how much we think of them.
Overall health update of the team right now, because you go through the fall and spring and you get ready to ramp up to play, but when the lights come on, it's a different level. So how do you think the guys are feeling?
I think they're feeling pretty good. I think we have done a better job. I've gotten better at this as I've gotten older. Where days when you've been on your feet for four out of 5 days, like a day like Wednesday, we'll play tomorrow. We're off today. We'll play tomorrow night, and then Wednesday will be super, super light, and then we'll get up to Arlington and practice on Thursday. So I think the overall health of the team is solid. You got some guys with little banged up things here and there. Troy Wansing's still pretty banged up. We're trying to get some more answers on his situation. It's not his arm, but just trying to get him healthier if it's possible. But for the most part, other than Weston Moss rolling his ankle playing hacky sack before the game yesterday, and he's fine. But knock on wood, we're in solid shape.
We're going to talk a lot of pitching, but I did want to ask you about the catching position. You have to be really pleased with what you've seen out of all three of those guys, particularly Hank Bard, who comes off the bench, hits the grand slam, and earns a start over the weekend. And then also just kind of your feel for second base and first base. We've seen guys man, 3 different guys man those positions, and the decision to go with Targo on Sunday.
First of all, the catching, Hank Bard. You cannot fault what he's done since he's come back. He actually led our team in hitting all fall. He hit 450 in the fall against our pitching, which our pitching I think is pretty solid. He's catching better, both by the eye test of myself and the analytics and all of the different things that Nolan Cain uses to compare the catchers relative to the other catchers in the country. Appel is ahead of the other 2. But Bard's catching up, and he's certainly a left-handed bat, and he's a power threat, and he's experienced, and he's the son of a coach. So look for him. He's going to get more playing time. Second base, first base, DH. Schott's going to stay in the lineup. Burton, even though he popped a few balls up on Saturday.
I thought he was unlucky.
He just missed a couple balls, and that's why I ran him back out there, especially with the wind blowing out. And then Caden Kent, he got his opportunity, and his batting average doesn't reflect the quality of his at-bats. I'm glad to see a few hits fall in for him. The defense has been outstanding, making some really good plays. And then first base, we'll give Targach opportunities there. We'll give Bender up opportunities there. Every now and then maybe Burton, but long-term future of the program, we'd love Blake to win that job. The thing that, and I've heard you mention, our defense, which I think is we've played better. I evaluate a first baseman's defense by the lack of throwing errors of the other infielders, because there's not that many ground balls hit over there, and they're really not that tough to field. You just got to tackle it and run over or touch first base or flip it to the pitcher. It's the balls that are in the dirt, right? It's the balls that are a little bit wide. And so I think we had 3 in the first weekend or 3 in the first 4 games that we didn't catch. Mm-hmm. You're not going to catch them all. But, man, those real short ones, the short pick, we call it a 100% play. Like, you got to be pretty darn close to 100%. And guess who was really good at that? Jack Moss.
Right.
He didn't throw well. He was a pretty good first baseman, but he also played first base his whole life. So people, I think, discount what an art it is to play around the base at first base. And it's not just you can just stick somebody over there, because unless everybody throws the ball perfect, it's a challenging position.
The old saying is you can't have a great infield defense without a good first baseman.
100%. There's no doubt about that. And those guys know that. We work on it every day. We do all kinds of we set up machines from different parts of the field. You got to put a helmet on them because the balls skip up and hit them in the face sometimes. But we're working on it constantly. They're working on it constantly. And I hope we look up a month from now and you ask me that question and we say, wow, we've gotten better in that area.
Well, to follow that up, on Saturday you credited both defense and pitching to get the win. How nice is it to be able to rely on that part?
Yeah, you have to, because the hitting's sexy, but it's not a consistent thing. If you're I always say the hardest thing to do in all of sports is to hit a moving ball with a round ball with a round bat square, right? That's the millimeter difference between a homer and a pop-up. And so if you're going to count on the success of your team being the hardest thing to do in all of sports, man, I don't think that's a great formula. But pitching and defense is throwing strikes and making routine plays. And so Saturday, we had a few base running things that those things are going to happen during the course of a season. We didn't get a timely hit, but we pitched well. And so I think that's moving forward, especially as we get into this upcoming weekend and then into SEC play. The one constant that I'm hoping we can keep is just throwing strikes. Just throwing strikes. The level of player who's going to be putting the swing on the ball, that's going to change. But if you just keep filling that strike zone up, that gives you a great chance to win games.
Obviously, Ryan Prager's been outstanding, as you guys had hoped he would be. But I want to talk to you a little bit about what happened yesterday with the opener and Tanner Jones, was a new face that I was excited to see. I know you guys had to be excited running him out there. But then following him up, when I thought that was the best stuff I've ever seen out of Shane Sadeo yesterday.
Yeah, when Shane pitches out of the bullpen, he pitches like his rear end's on fire, and there's a lot of intent. And when he starts games, he takes that starting pitching mentality and he tries to ease his way through it, which is not the best way to do it. And I think he's learning on the job as a starter. He's a strike thrower, so he's always going to give you a chance. But when he's available as a reliever, you weren't in Starkville last year at the end of the season when he rammed 94 by I forget, it's not Hines, but somebody else for Mississippi State that never strikes out. And he punched him out to end an inning, second and third, and it was 94 miles an hour. And yesterday he touched 96. And so if Tanner Jones and Chris Cortez can continue to do what they're doing, Sadeo now goes to the bullpen, can be used at least once a weekend, if not twice, along with Ashenbach, maybe a Caden Wilson, something like that. And now, now we're getting closer to that. We have good SEC pitching. It's that upper echelon SEC elite. Arkansas, what Vandy's had, Florida. So watch them on their game yesterday. Wow. And even LSU is, and there's other teams. Auburn, I think, is pitching at a high level, but just getting that level of pitcher is what we're trying to get to.
And you've been able to have some really cool cameos by this freshman class, but I thought it was pretty funny. The one bad inning you had yesterday was by a guy who everybody expects to be or has a huge upside here and a huge ceiling in this program, and Isaac Morton has a rough inning, and then you go to two super seniors and you get out of it. Like, that has to be – when I was on the call this weekend and watching games, I'm like, some of these situations are really good for the players, but also for Jim to make decisions in.
Yeah.
And so you go to Peary and Badmiev to get out of that one jam. Was that kind of a glimpse of how you envision using those guys?
Yeah, no doubt. Is that, closing, not necessarily closing a game, but stopping the threat of a big inning. That can happen in the fourth inning just like it can happen in the eighth or ninth. And Peary being able to come in there and get that out. Badmiev he pitches to the righties and the lefties just as well, spin that breaking ball. But we have to get Morton and Caden Wilson going because those are super talented young players. Here's the challenge. This travel roster is going to change.
Oh, yeah.
And
we talked about that last week.
We're going to take a lot of people to Arlington this weekend, and then we have Rhode Island or whoever the next weekend. And then even whether you're at home or whether you're on the road, you can only have, I think, 27 or 30, whatever it is, 27 available players. Who do you pick? And you can't take them all, even though I love them all. So we'll let the games tell us who that is, and then we'll have to try to get guys innings in the midweek innings.
I'm looking at the batting averages this morning, and all these newcomers leading the way. Braden with 423, Allie's doing a great Gavin. And just, I think if I were in that situation, coming to a new team as a freshman or as a transfer, sometimes you'd be pressing in the beginning. That's not what we're seeing.
Yeah. I mean, I think also, I think just pure college baseball experience helps them. We do spend a lot of time, more so than anybody in the country, in my opinion, on the mental skills, which can actually be practiced on a daily basis, which we do practice. And there's been some luck involved there. Some balls falling in. Let's see what happens over time. But they're good players. There's no doubt about it. The level of competition is going to change. Are we going to hit 360 the whole season? That'd be awesome. But we just need competitive at bats and keep everybody healthy and throw strikes. If we do that, we'll be fine.
You've said a lot that you believe that a lot of the success or failure of this team will come down to the guys not playing and their interactions in the clubhouse and the dugout. Everybody's played up to this point, but as you mentioned, with the increase in competition, that may not be the same case. How do you feel that has been – the lineup decisions have been received and the interactions amongst the players are right now?
Usually the head coach is the guy in the program that knows the least.
Right.
But as far as I can tell, they've been great. Let's see what happens when we have to post a travel roster.
Yeah.
And all your buddies are leaving and you have to sit home and that can change. Travis Chestnut didn't make the first travel squad last year to Tennessee. So that'll be the challenge, but that's today's college athletics. That's across the board with the age of the players, minimum a small draft and transfer portal. So so far so good, but there's a lot of big tests to egos coming down the road.
One thing we haven't talked about, and I did want to get to it before we get you out of here, is the Saturday game was the most well-pitched game maybe of your tenure. Now, you got to understand, well, it's hard to say that with that SEC tournament run, I guess, last year, and this is a one-hitter and all that kind of deal with Wansing. But, I mean, for Lampkin to go 5 scoreless, and then you bring in Ashenbach, who throws 16 straight strikes after a mound meeting with Max Wiener. I don't know if he told you that.
I didn't know that.
But we tracked it because Max went out there, bases loaded, 1 out, 3-pitch punch out, 3-pitch punch out, and then threw 10 strikes straight to start the next inning. They don't track that, by the way, to see if that was a school record. But that is that's an incredible job, regardless of who's in the other batter's box, of attacking the strike zone with your stuff. And I thought that that was the most enjoyment I've had watching a pitching performance in your time here.
Yeah, those are all great observations. And Bronny, you're astute. You bring a neat view to it because in the middle of the game, I don't pay attention to that stuff. I'd be curious to what he said to Evan because I wish he would have said the same thing to Morton. But no, I mean that just shows you how talented Evan is and confident in his stuff and his moxie. But yeah, I mean it feels good to know that, when you look up and the board says 1-2 all the time, or 0-2, or it's 2-1, and they get right back in the strike zone. So we just have to stick to that. We have to remember these days, because when you fill the strike zone up that much, there's going to be days
you get beat up,
where you get bloodied, and that's okay. That's okay. I can live with that. If a guy throws strikes and he gets beat around, I just come get the ball from you. Hey man, get him tomorrow, and we'll get somebody else in there. But what we can't live with is walk, error, hit batter, walk, homer. Yeah, that's that you're beating yourself that way. So hopefully we're saying the same thing a month from now that we're saying today.
Last thing for you, got a few emails asking or text messages asking why you're taking on Arizona State twice next weekend. Can you kind of get into that?
Yeah, so this tournament or whatever it is, what the Rangers are doing, they're investing in college baseball, or that sports group that they have. They're actually investing. One of the guys, the two guys that run all that stuff for them, told me it was either last year or the year after COVID, they did over $100 million in non-Ranger revenue at the ballpark with all the concerts, and they had NFR during COVID when I was at TCU. And so they've just decided, hey, we're going to get as many baseball games in here, college, high school, everything as we possibly can. And so it was set up to be us and Mississippi State against USC and Arizona State. And, of course, Mississippi State and the coach there and I agree we're not going to play each other. It's a conference series. And I think USC and Arizona State, I don't want to speak for them, but I'm assuming they did the same. And then in November, I didn't even know. Unbeknownst to me, Mississippi State pulled out and they grabbed TCU. One of my coaches told me that TCU was in it. So the setup for the tournament was already set. Could we have begged to play TCU or the opposite? Probably. But it's set up for us to play USC and Arizona State. So we'll just stick with it that way. TCU's off to an awesome start, man, and they may have played the best schedule in the country to this point, so they really have it rolling up there.
No, that's it. I think we see that uptick in competition starting tomorrow night. It's a pretty good Lamar team coming in.
Really good, yeah, and they've given us fits in the past, and again, another big night. Cortez, he's shown us his best college outing. Can he get? I mean, he doesn't have to be that great, but can he be 80% of that? That'll be a huge. Just like yesterday with Tanner Jones was a big step for us. Tomorrow night will be another big one as we move forward.
Yeah, and those decisions in the midweek will be magnified the following Tuesday. So, I mean, that's a long way out. But are you kind of settled in on Chris for right now, remaining in that Tuesday role? Because everybody's going to want to know when you go to Austin what's going to happen.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, let's see how long Chris pitches, how well he pitches. Do we need him to win a ball game this weekend? But I will say the best teams that I've ever coached that have put together the most consistent season, they've had a legit fourth pitcher, and you just kind of leave him there and let him do his thing the whole season. And so ideally we'd like to do that, whether it be Chris or somebody else the rest of the way.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having me. Gig 'em.
When we come back, more Bronny, and then after that, JB Moss next on TexAgs Radio. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Rollo Insurance Studio. Bronny's with us here for another segment. Fun week. I mean, it's been a couple of fun weekends, man. And Tuesday game, too. It's been good.
Yeah, I would encourage people, regardless of the level of competition, this baseball team, if you had to make me describe the season up to this point, I think I'd give you 2 words. Encouraging, clearly.
Yep.
But secondly, it's been fun. This is a fun baseball team. They're super athletic. Some of the plays that we've seen Gavin Grahovic and Ali Camarillo make have been sensational. Hayden Schott has made a couple of circus catches on balls that probably don't need to be made into circus catches, but it's kind of Hayden's personality. And by the way, if you're not following him on Twitter, he's
so good.
He does these post-game breakdowns of.
You got it right there.
Oh, there it is. So this is Hayden's tweet for those of you just listening. This is Hayden's tweet to Jace Lavalette after the weekend. Last night he tweets, "Not a great weekend from @Jace Lavalette 2. Hit 600 but no home runs. Stick to your approach, kid. Take a breath and reset. Time to get back at it on Tuesday. Good. All right.
Good. Oh, I didn't ask Schloss about good.
It's okay. We'll have plenty of opportunities. But
he had a triple.
Yeah, he did, and drove in 4 yesterday.
Yeah.
It's just been fun at the ballpark. And who knows? It may continue all year, and this may be an incredibly fun year. But the start, if you're just asking me through the first 7 games to describe this A&M baseball team and the season so far, encouraging and fun.
I'll add to that from my perspective. They have some new players, right? Obviously, there's an influx of talent in there. They all seem like they've been friends for a long time. I know fall ball goes a long way into developing those relationships, but when you watch them, the way Braden is with everybody and Hayden is, it's like they've been buddies for a while.
They're more expressive than last year's bunch was, right? Because if I had to pick a word to describe last year's team, who I have immense respect for all those kids. We've talked about that so much. Austin Boast and Brett Minnick and Jordan Thompson and Trevor Warner, Hunter Haas, all sensational dudes.
Yep.
And you see them around the ballpark, and they're beloved by Aggies. A lot of them are on that 2022 team. They're forever legendary. Jack Moss will be one of the greatest hitters that's ever come through here. But if I were to describe their team personality, it'd be more stoic.
Yeah.
Right? More buttoned up, down to business. This team has fun, and they express themselves on the baseball field. And we're seeing it more and more. They've got some real explosive personalities, in the dugout as well as in the bullpen. We saw a little bit of flash of that with Peyton Smith when Zane Badmiev gets the ball. There's a lot of intensity, and he's into every pitch. So it's just been a fun team to cover. It's been a fun team to watch, and the crowds have reflected that. Like Olsen Field has been the atmospheres have been great, and it's a credit to Section 202 and 203, but it doesn't stop there. Like Schloss made this push to get the lower seats filled, and they're filling up.
Yeah.
And the crowd has been engaged because this team is just engaging and fun to watch. We'll see what happens the rest of the year. Obviously, there's going to be a massive uptick in competition. It'll start, like I talked to Schloss a little bit tomorrow night, with a really solid Lamar team. This is Will Davis. I think he's his 5th year or 6th year at Lamar, their head coach, and this is his best ball club. And so they're going to come in here. They beat A&M in the midweek last year, and they're going to be keen on doing it again. But further from that, they're going to go to Arlington and play 2 Pac-12 teams, which will be closer in terms of talent level to what's on the A&M roster and what they'll see throughout the duration of SEC play. But all that said, like if you're looking for something to do on these home weekends, come out and watch this team. I think it's been a really good time for everybody, whether you're a family there with kids, if you're a student, if you're a former player, if you're a donor, if you're in the suites, if you're in just regular on the berm seating. Like, it's been a lot of fun at Olsen Field so far.
So yesterday I had the game on, and I was like, Dad, is this normal? Because I feel like all weekend I'm seeing 15, 20 runs, and I'm like, it's not normal. I mean, they've double digit in what, 4 of the
nine last Tuesday against
Incarnate Word.
And we kind of expected it out of this offense, but you never really can tell in the preseason build-up exactly how they're going to perform. I think the most important part about the early offensive success is the confidence that it builds. And who knows, as the season goes on, how important Sunday against Wagner will be for this ball club, because who did they get going? Ryan Targach. And I don't know how much he'll play. I don't know what the rotation is going to look like. Obviously, Caden Kent has played well and will continue to get a run out at second base. Blake Benderup had a couple of days where he kind of struggled, so they give Targac the start to try to get him going as well, and he homers and drives in, 5 yesterday?
Yep.
So a sensational day, and we know what an in-form Ryan Targac can do in the batter's box. And, he is a extra base RBI machine when he's going right. And that had to, Schloss mentioned it to us before we started. It was like you could just kind of see the weight just go off of him yesterday. So it was important for Targac as personally, but it could be important for this team as well. And look, that's not to say that Blake Benderup is done being a key contributor to this ball club too, because 6'6", 240 pounds, and the ability to not only run the ball out of the yard, but be real hitterish, like make hitting moves in the batter's box, being able to line the ball the other way with 2 strikes, fight off tough pitches because he's got such a short stroke. There's going to be plenty at bats left for Blake to make an impact on the season. But for the guy that's the lone senior on this ball club, position player that has been here, I shouldn't say lone senior because they have the grad transfers, but the returning senior here to start playing and maybe get himself a little confidence boost heading into Arlington, I think that could be really big.
Last thing for you. I'm not speaking for Schloss, but the way I internalized what he said about having a Tuesday regular starter seems like he would prefer to have one guy there.
Yeah, but I also think that if Chris continues to pitch well, obviously a massive story for this team if he does, but it also gives you some flexibility if you have a guy that starts struggling on the weekend, that you can plug Chris there and you can move that guy back, much like a big league rotation. It's a little harder with the big leagues because you play 162 games and you want guys to stay in their rest and recovery routines. But the story going into Arlington, at least before they start playing on Friday night, is the start of Chris Cortez. Like if you're circling one thing to highlight on Tuesday against Lamar, let's keep an eye on Chris, because if that outing tomorrow night replicates in some fashion his first one against Incarnate Word, then you're going, okay, another just encouraging data point for this team going forward.
Yep. All right. We're going to hit a break here. Bronny, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Time for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. They've got great deals that change every month on that website, but really just every day there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet, you're going to find yourself an amazing deal. That's what they do out there. They have the vehicle selection that you're looking for, with the right customer service, the right sales staff, and, of course, the right pricing for you to find the vehicle that fits your family needs there. When you go there, they're going to help you every step of the way. They also have complimentary pickup for their service customers after you buy your vehicle there from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. It makes it so cool. Like, it's just an easy process when you deal with Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Remember, though, it's only about a 15-minute drive, the very edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Continuing our baseball conversation, let's go straight to the hotline. JB Moss joining us, former Texas A&M outfielder. JB, what up, man? How you been?
Nuño, how are you? Everything's great, man.
Little rumor I heard around the office. I don't know if it's true. There's a chance I might bump into you this weekend. Is that true?
Not a rumor. That's a fact. I'll be seeing you at Globe Life this weekend. I'll be on the call with Will Johnson, and certainly looking forward to the Aggies coming up and playing where my Rangers play.
Awesome, man. We're looking forward to catching up, and we'll also be at the Angry Elephant there in Little Elm, so we'll be doing a meet and greet, Billy and myself, there on Saturday. So hopefully those who can make it out to Little Elm will be able to see that. All right, man, what do you think? Like, we hear often that, like, you don't want to get too high because of the level of opponent that Texas A&M has played in baseball. But that being said, eyeball test and the success rate so far speaks volumes, I think.
Well, I think you're right. I think us as Aggies, we're so desperate for championships and for, certainly a national championship. I think we can't help but get excited. But look, you can't ignore, you're 7-0 and you can only play the teams that are on your schedule. And certainly so far, I would categorize the results as video game-like. I mean, you're hitting 360 as a team. You're pitching it under a 1 team ERA. I mean, those are literally video game numbers. And so, look, you can't say enough great things about everybody on the team so far, and certainly looking forward to the continued success.
What a fresh approach Max Wiener brings to the club, to the team, and the way they are pitching. Look, it's early, I know, and I hate qualifying that every time I bring up a point, but they're hitting the strike zone, man.
Well, absolutely they are. And listen, I'm not in the clubhouse every day, but just hearing what I've heard from Coach Wiener and just his philosophy, it seems like he has a very individualized approach for each guy. But the mantra is very simple: dominate the strike zone, throw strike one, and dominate the 1-1 count. And they're certainly doing that. I have all the respect in the world for Coach Yesky. He certainly had a great track record before his time at A&M. But I have followed the LSU pitching staff so far this year, and they certainly have more walks than the Aggie pitching staff, and can't say enough great things about Coach Wiener. And what the true test of a coach, in my opinion, is being able to do it, with guys who have already been on the roster and achieving different results. Whether it be Justin Lampkin or Chris Cortez, seeing these guys transform themselves under a new pitching coach has certainly been exciting.
Talking to JB Moss here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. JB, look, to me, I'm not in that clubhouse, but I'm watching what it looks to be like just a good culture over there, a very happy group. We know culture is important, but for you who've been in clubhouses, talk about how important that is when players are joking with each other, loving each other, and success helps breed that. But from what you've seen from the way this team gets along.
Well, listen, it's certainly important, and I'll be frank with you. Culture is harder with the more talented guys that you have. The teams that win championships are supremely talented, but they also are able to accumulate a culture that works together. And like I said, that's extremely hard to do with a lot of talented guys who all feel like they should be playing. One of the things that has excited me most about Texas A&M baseball is I feel like we have upticked the talent since Schloss has been here. I certainly think that's a testament to Nolan Kane and his reputation as a recruiter. I mean, look, you can have the guys in the back check, but I don't think – look, I feel like I have a pretty good eye for first-round talent. And in my opinion, I think there's 3 potential first-rounders in the lineup playing every day, and LaViolette, Grahovic, and Montgomery. And being able to have that accumulation of talent and these guys having so much fun and what appears like playing for each other, I think there's special things on the horizon.
JB, I was asking Schloss about these newcomers, right, that have come to this team, and Gavin's young, but a lot of the transfers coming in and have already integrated themselves into this team, and they're part of the fabric of what they do. One of the things he mentioned was that they're veteran players. And how important is that? We talk about it in football, especially on the offensive line, but in baseball, having guys that have been down the road before.
Well, certainly. I think it's huge. And I think something that Slosh and Nolan have done a great job of is getting guys who are in their second time around. I like to make the connection to Ole Miss football. And, their mantra is to dominate the transfer portal. You kind of wipe the shine off the first time around the recruiting trail, and the shiny facilities and the donor base and the NIL maybe not being so important the second time around. You're more focused on, hey, is my coach a people person? Do I feel comfortable here? Does it feel like home? And so I certainly feel like Slosh and Nolan have done a great job, targeting those kind of aspects. And it seems like the guys have just transitioned seamlessly.
Well, let's talk about some of those guys in parts. Braden Montgomery, we know his game. We saw it firsthand there just last regional. But that all being said, how about the way he has performed already at a very high level? I believe last time I checked, he was leading the team in batting average. He got already 3 home runs. Yeah, he's batting .423 with those 3 homers.
I mean, again, you can't say enough positive things about Braden. Number one, it seems like a really genuine person. It seems like he always has a smile on his face. It seems like he's really happy in Aggieland. And like I mentioned earlier, I think when you combine that with supreme talent, you're going to get supreme results. And so, listen, I think Braden is on his way to a great season and hopefully a first-round draft pick, and he, finishes his season in Omaha. So, look, I've been really impressed with Braden's ability to use the whole field. He hits absolute rockets. I mean, his exit velocity is, right behind Jace as far as, just consistent power using all fields, and certainly, couldn't be more impressed with him.
How about Hayden Schott? I mean, funny on Twitter, funny when they mic him up, and just he's only batting .370 though. I mean, good God.
For the listeners that remember, he's got some Jonathan Maroney to him. He's just very personable. He's funny. He keeps it light in the clubhouse. And listen, for a team that has high expectations, I mean, we are talking about a team who's ranked 8th in the country here. And, you need that guy who can rally the troops and just say, hey, guys, just remember, this is baseball and it's supposed to be fun. We're college kids, and let's just keep this light and loose. And, I think all great teams have a Hayden Schott personality, and certainly happy that he's in Maroon and White.
And Ali Camarillo, not only with the stick, but the defense, man.
Well, listen, I prioritize a defense in the shortstop position probably, just as much as anybody. And listen, in my opinion, anything offensively you get, say, over 250 out of a shortstop that can truly defend, I believe is a bonus. I don't think you can overemphasize the glove at the shortstop position, and watching him field ground balls and throw across the diamond. It's truly an art. People that haven't played the sport or played that position truly don't understand how special a talent that is. And certainly I could sit and watch him field ground balls all day. And I think he's going to be an anchor on the dirt. And I think we need to continue to have that anchor at the shortstop position in Maroon and White moving forward.
Talking to JB Miles here on TexAgs Radio. So he did not hit in the 9-hole yesterday. That being said, are you a fan of having great hitters at the 9-hole? I know you're probably a fan of having great hitters 1 through 9, but just in general.
Yeah, of course. Look, I think a lot of importance gets placed on, the leadoff guy and then who's batting cleanup. But look, I mean, that's only the first time through the order. Outs are going to happen. Innings are going to end at different times throughout the rest of the game. And so, listen, you want your lineup to be as balanced as possible. But certainly, one thing I've noticed, if you're going to hit Jason Gavin at the top of the order, then it only makes sense to get guys with high on-base percentage at the bottom of the order because, those are our best RBI hitters, and you certainly want guys on base when Gorhovic and Jace and Montgomery are coming up.
I know we talk pitching, but we've got to spend some time on Ryan Brauninger. The 19 strikeouts to start the season, the way he's commanding the strike zone, just he is living up to what an ace should be.
Well, he certainly is. And listen, when you go 600 days without being on a mound in the SEC, I mean, this is such a testament to his daily work. Again, I don't know the kid personally, and I'm not in the clubhouse, but it's certainly, he seems like such an even keel guy. And, since, I know we've had Ryan Detmer, but I feel like since Asa Lacy, we really haven't had that bona fide Friday night ace. And so far through 2 weeks of the year, 19 Ks, 1 walk, and 11 innings. That's certainly bona fide ace, a stat line for Ryan Brauninger. So, I hope he continues to develop. I hope he continues to stay healthy. And certainly he has, been the frontline starter for the pitching staff that has just done such a great job so far.
What about Chris Cortez? and how he looked last Tuesday and how big it would be for him to be a regular guy there on Tuesday nights?
Well, it would be absolutely huge. Listen, in 2016, I was just talking to Rob Childress and Will Bolt. Nebraska was just up here playing in Globe Life last weekend, and listen, what made our 2016 team special? We didn't lose one game on Tuesday night. Number one, because we took a lot of pride in it. We had a desire to be a national seed, but number two, we had the pitching depth that allowed us to do that. And so, look, if you have a Tuesday night guy that throws 100 miles an hour that can locate 3 pitches for strikes, I mean, you're talking about a handful of teams that have the pitching depth to be able to do that. And just so happy for Chris. He seems like such a hard worker and a great kid. But listen, speaking from an offensive player standpoint, if I am able to just focus on one pitch and I don't have to worry about an off-speed pitch, it doesn't matter if it's 100 miles an hour. So really, Chris's ability to develop those secondary pitches and start to throw them for strikes certainly changes the game for him and the entire Aggie pitching staff.
JB, let's take a look at what they got this upcoming week. They're stepping up in competition little by little. We got Lamar coming up, obviously, on Tuesday, and then the 2 Pac-12 schools, Arizona State and USC.
No, you're exactly right. Look, you're getting the Pac-12 school, and then, a week from tomorrow, you're going to Texas. And so, look, I think when we talk again, 2 weeks from now, I think we're going to have a little better idea. I think we do have an idea so far through 7 games, but we're going to have a better idea of what this club's really about. Like you said, the competition's going to step up. And look, with all due respect to Wagner and McNeese, you're not going to roll over, the run rule in Arizona State and Texas. I mean, I certainly hope you do, but odds are you're not going to do that. And like I said, I'm very anxious to talk in another 2 weeks so we can get a better feel on just where we are heading into conference play.
Appreciate you, brother, man. It's been too long. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. You guys have a great day.
You too. JB Moss there on the hotline, breaking it down for us here on TexAgs Radio. All right, we're going to hit a break. When we come back, Around Aggieland with Kay Naegeli, plus we'll see what's happening around the SEC as well, football, basketball, baseball, you name it. Right now, though, Heritage Films Time. That's a company that makes documentary films. There you go. That's the commercial. Why would you want a documentary? Why wouldn't you want a documentary? Why am I talking to myself like I'm interviewing myself? I don't know. But I do know that when we did the documentary for my dad, it was great. It was not only the experience of doing it, right? The actual filming of it was very therapeutic. It was awesome for my parents to do that, to find some old pictures, to go through some old stories, to really tell the events of my dad's life and put it on camera was great. That's part of the process. The other part is coming together as a family and watching it together to see my dad's story on film or on video, however you want to phrase it. It was just a cool experience and one that I recommend for every Aggie out there because Aggies do care about their history. That's the facts, guys. We do. We care more about our history than anybody else. Yeah, we want to see success, but we care about each other and we care about telling those stories and those traditions, and that's what you can do with a heritage film. Maybe you got a group of buddies that gets together all the time and you guys go golfing or you go camping or you go hunting together and you want to tell that story. Have Chance and his crew go do it there at Heritage Films. You can also do a Yearflix, which is a 20-minute option. You got the 2-hour documentary, which is the Heritage Film, or you can do the Yearflix, which is a 20-minute Q&A benchmark video, really reserved for the youngers out there, right? You get to tell their story differently. Q&A, fun kind of questions with some video and some graphics to kind of match it to tell that story. Talk about getting your Aggie ring and how cool that was, to your graduation, to meeting your wife. Your first wife, hopefully, your only wife. There you go. Check it out at yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. How long was the song playing, Kay?
Not that long.
Okay.
Only like 15 seconds.
Dalton and I were talking basketball.
It's okay.
Got to win a game. Got to win a game.
One of three?
No, they need to win more, but let's win one first.
Yeah,
and then
let's do that. This week, preferably.
That would be great. Time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website, normandystatebank.com, here on TexAgs Radio. Kay Naegeli.
So let's start off with some positive news. Baseball is absolutely rolling right now. Jim Schlossnagle and co. Well, Jim Schlossnagle earned his 900th win, which is a heck of an accomplishment. And then Aggie baseball swept Wagner in dominant fashion as the Aggies outscored the Seahawks 40-4 on the weekend. And through 7 games, Texas A&M has scored 80 runs and allowed 8, and also posted 3 shutouts as well. So pitching staff absolutely dominating right now. The Aggies will play Lamar on Tuesday and then head to Globe Life Field to play Arizona State twice, and then USC also this weekend. So
and then a week from tomorrow.
Oh boy, it's gonna be a fun one up in Austin. I wish every year that game is away, I'm like, oh, I wish it was the year that it was flipped. But
the old
I went last year and it was absolutely incredible, even though it didn't come up on top.
Win.
But this year, revenge. I feel it. I feel it. It's going to happen. Still on the positive side, Aggie softball also dominating. They won 5 of 6 this past weekend, with their one loss coming on Saturday to Kansas. That was a 1-0 loss. But yesterday, they needed an extra frame, but number 17, Texas A&M, escaped a scare from UTSA on Sunday as Trinity Cannon blasted a 265-foot walk-off grand slam to win 5-1. Additionally, Emily Kennedy did not allow a base hit until the 8th inning and struck out 16. That is a program single game record for strikeouts. Congrats, Emily Kennedy. That is a heck of an accomplishment. On the basketball front, it was a rocky showing and rocky top. There's no other way to really describe. As the Aggies dropped their 4th consecutive game, that was a 35-point loss. Not very good. Joe Lunardi's latest bracketology has not been updated, but the Aggies will most likely be out of the mix as they were the very last team in, ahead of Tennessee, the loss at Tennessee. But they do hope to bounce back. We were just talking about it on Wednesday at Reed Arena against number 20, South Carolina. So hopefully can get back on track. Additionally, women's basketball also had a kind of flawed outing. They added another blemish to their resume as Auburn took care of the Tigers 57-41 on Sunday. They had 29 turnovers.
And a bunch in the third quarter.
At one point, they had 26 points and 26 turnovers. It was a rough outing. Before Sunday's contest, A&M was projected as one of the teams to receive a bye in the NCAA tournament at an 11 seed. And then Auburn was listed as the last 4 in. They have probably switched places since then. That has not come out officially. But A&M's final 2 games will likely determine whether the Aggies are in or out, excluding a potential run in the SEC tournament. And those next 2 games are a road contest at Tennessee and then a regular season finale versus Alabama. So hopefully can pull out 2 wins there and get some postseason things going. And then track and field, Lamar Diston broke a women's NCAA indoor high jump record on her way to her 3rd straight SEC title. What a champ. That was at the SEC Indoor Championships. She jumped 2 meters. That is 6'6". That's a 6'6" guy, which is absolutely insane to think about.
It is insane.
So, yeah, good news. Also, tennis won, both men's and women's, and then equestrian as well beat number 3 SMU.
Obi's not here to make the noise, so.
Shh, I can't do it.
Did you just try to do it?
There we go.
Oh, my goodness. Kate, thank you very much.
Of course.
All right, we will have to do Around the SEC at some point during the show. Right now, let's hit a break. When we come back, we will talk some hoops. Buzz Williams on the program, see if we can fix the remainder of the season. That and more is TexAgs Radio. And we are back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in. Billy Liucci is in studio, and I believe we do have Buzz Williams, but we'll give it a second for the folks at Bryan Broadcasting to get it set up, and it's ready to roll. So we go straight to the hotline. We are joined by Buzz Williams here on TexAgs Radio. Buzz, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So how rough has this stretch been for you all? Obviously, it's been a downward trend recently. How can we get it back on track?
Yes, sir. The last 2 weeks have not been good. We've lost 4 in a row. After arguably our biggest win, obviously beating Tennessee here. I don't think that there's one glaring thing. I think it's the accumulation of a lot of small things that we have to do better to put ourselves in a position to get back to what we were doing when we were 6-4. Too many things in the 4-game losing streak of what is not a recipe for us to do better. Our guys have been very resilient. They've been very open to what I've had to say, to what the staff has had to say. We need to have 2 really good days of preparation. South Carolina is one of the most improved teams in the country, for sure the most improved team in the league. One of the slower teams, very similar to Vanderbilt in regards to pace of play. So there'll be fewer possessions, and we do not have possessions to give away on either end in order for us to right the ship.
Buzz, you've been doing this a while, man. I know there was a few years ago when you guys hit the long winning streak to end SEC play, but with this many conference regular season games left, momentum, like you said, in the last couple weeks has slipped away from you guys. How many times in your head coaching career, do you have some experience to go back on, whether it be at Marquette or Vatech, where you can remember kind of being in this position where you are not kind of hard charging towards and past the bubble, but really just sitting squarely, probably, I know all this stuff we never really know until we know, but probably sitting right there on the bubble and needing to get momentum back here in a final handful of games. Have you been in this spot before, you and your coaching staff?
Yeah, so to answer all of that, Liucci, this is my 17th year as a head coach.
Yeah.
In conference play, I've had 2 losing records in conference play. The COVID season here, we didn't play a game in the month of February. We had a lot of problems related to the pandemic.
Yeah.
We had a losing record in conference play. And then our first season at Virginia Tech, we had a losing record in conference play. The other 14 completed seasons, we have always had a winning record. To your point on year number 3 here, this morning when we met, we put together a clip tape. We started that year 15-2.
Yeah.
We were 4-0 in SEC play, and we lost every game for a month.
Yeah.
We lost 8 games in a row. We were 4-8, and we finished the season in SEC play 9-9, and then played 4 games in the conference tournament, lost in the championship, and then obviously played 5 games in the NIT and lost the championship. So I had Josh put together like what me and you would call a highlight video,
right?
Basically showing the chronological path of how did we start 15-2, 4-0, the first game conference play. We hit a buzzer beater at Georgia to go 1-0. And the video kind of walked through all of that.
Uh-huh.
And obviously I think there were four players on our team now that were a part of that. 7 players on our team that started 6-5 last year that then went 15-3 in conference play. And so have I ever been 6-8 in conference play? Yes, sir, I have.
Yep.
Is that backed up on a 4-game losing streak? Well, technically, I guess it was in year 3 when we were 4-8. At some point, we got to 6 and 8. But I think what I've tried to do is just tell our guys, this is where we're at, and this is what's in front of us. There's 4 games left. What do we need to do to be in the tournament? We probably need to go 9-9, considering what we did in non-conference. To your point, is that for sure? No, it's not for sure. What is for sure? What is for sure is how can we give our best fight to a team that we haven't played on Wednesday night at home? You can't go on a winning streak until you win the first one. How can we win on Wednesday? What can we do today and tomorrow and Wednesday prior to the game to be in a position in a slow 62, 64 possession game? How can we put ourselves in a position to win that game and then regroup and try to do it again? Is that the answer? Don't know. Is that the truth? I believe it's the truth. But I don't think that we can continue to live in the past and let the burden of, I can't believe we were 6 and 4 and now we've lost 4 in a row. I don't think we can deal with trying to carry that burden.
Yeah.
And I think that in truth, Liucci, I've been very upfront with our guys throughout all of this. Whether it's the last 2 weeks when we've lost 4 games in a row or the previous first 6 weeks of conference play when we started 0-2. Like, I think I've tried to handle all of it in real time, treating them respectfully while also telling them the truth individually and collectively. And I've tried to do the exact same with their staff.
Talking to Buzz Williams here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Buzz, in these 4 games, Wade Taylor's averaging 12.5 points. Obviously, he is one of your offensive catalysts. How do you get him going, especially when teams know he wants to attack and shoot those open threes?
Yeah, we need 4 to be his best. In our 6 wins, obviously 4 was really good. I think in 5 of those 6, it was really good. You could also say the same with Boots. And whether it was an individual or a team, when we have a high number of offensive rebounds, we probably have a good chance to win. When we starve the opponent of getting offensive rebounds, we have a good chance to win. When we defend without fouling, we have a better chance to win. When we get fouled, we have a better chance to win. Like if you look at the 6 wins and you look at the 8 losses, and from an analytical standpoint, if you wanted to break down each player or if you wanted to break down the team, I truthfully think that whether it's a player or a team, they're somewhat connected. We need to play with a low turnover rate. When we have a high turnover rate, it prevents us from getting a shot. It prevents us from getting an offensive rebound. It prevents us from getting fouled. Like in our losses, we foul at way too high of a rate. So now teams are getting to the free throw line and getting points with the clock not running. When teams have too many offensive rebounds, in other words, we're not doing a good job on the defensive glass, they're shooting more shots than we are. So whether it's 4, and we do need 4 to be good, and we need to continue to try to find ways to get 4 the ball to be good. And we have done that. And to your point, everybody knows how good he is. And so they have a plan. We have a plan. And so there's a lot going on with 4. But you could also say the same with Boots. You could also say the same categorically with our team. And so if it's going to be a fight, that's what we need it to be, as a fight. How can we be our best in that fight?
Talking to Buzz Williams here on TexAgs Radio. Buzz, let's get back to that defensive part. Tennessee shot 52%. Defensively, is it the one-on-one defense? Is it playing the lanes? What will get A&M back to that physicality and togetherness on the defensive side that we have seen?
I think some of what strung us out defensively, to be honest with you, Saturday night at Tennessee was our offense didn't help our defense. We didn't have, it was the lowest offensive rebound percentage that we had this season. We turned the ball over probably a little higher than normal. We shot too many threes that led to long rebounds that leaked out into they're going to shoot 100% on layups in transition. So they're all combined. They're all a conduit to one another. If you look at when we played Tennessee 2 weeks ago, what did we do well? Well, we beat them on the offensive glass. We beat them on the defensive glass. We did make shots that helped us. We played with a low turnover rate. We didn't mirror those same statistics on Saturday. And whether it's Tennessee or whether it's South Carolina or any team that we have played or that we're going to play, I think the specificity, however you say that word, the specifics of what we have to do on defense is connected to offense, and same offense is connected to defense. Like, we need to be very predictable in what we do so that everybody knows their role and their responsibility within what we're trying to accomplish. And they do know those things. We just need to stay per possession connected to that recipe.
Buzz, as we've sat here, I feel like you've talked a lot about the physical things you guys were doing to win that aren't happening as much now. In this grind of an SEC season, like, you guys are at one of the the low points. You have the high points. It ebbs and flows. It always does for most every team. Is this, at this point in the season, are teams doing anything noticeably different to you guys on either end of the floor, or is this a situation where it's like, look, we got a few left. We've got to go out on the court and walk off winners one time in an important. They're all important now, but I look at South Carolina. I look at one of these road games coming up. We've just got to get it back. And my question is, how much of this is mental versus physical right now?
Yeah, I mean this sincerely.
Yeah,
our guys have been tremendous,
and
I think that's because of how they've been raised. I think that's their character. There's not any blaming, complaining, defending. They want to do right. They want to do good. They care about one another. I actually believe they care about our staff. I think the staff has been tremendous over the last 2 weeks and how difficult this has all been. And to some degree, whether you're 6-8 after 14 games or 12-2 after 14 games, the way we were this time last year, I think when you get to February, because of the grind of it all, as you said, I think you have to coach their hearts. And I think you have to spend extra time with them. I spend an inordinate amount of time individually with each of our guys. I walk the camp. I probably get more steps on Texas A&M's campus than anybody. And a lot of times I'm with one of our guys.
Yeah.
And I'll finish with one and just keep walking with somebody else. Like, they're aware, Liucci, of all of this. They're not dodging it. They're not pointing and blaming someone. They want to do right for themselves, for their family, for their teammates, for the institution. And I think that's there hasn't been any splintering in that regard. And to your point, yeah, we just need to win.
Yeah.
And when we win, are all of our problems solved? No, we'll wake up the next day and there's going to be another game that we have to win. And so what's the most mature way and what is the best way with wisdom to put ourselves in a position to win on Wednesday? And like I told them this morning, that starts in what we do today.
Do you embrace the Wednesday versus Tuesday on a week like this, or are you the guy that says the quicker the better? Let's roll it back.
I don't care if it's Tuesday or Saturday.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I don't care if it's Tuesday, Saturday, or Wednesday, Saturday. I think the thing that is hard on me and hard on every team is when you transition from one to the other.
Yeah.
So last week we played Tuesday, Saturday, and this week we're playing Wednesday, Saturday. So last week we lose to Arkansas by 7 on Tuesday. We're off on Wednesday with Thursday and Friday to prep for at Tennessee on Saturday. But since we play on Wednesday, that meant yesterday was our day off this week. So when it transitions Tuesday, Saturday to Wednesday, Saturday, you actually get more off days than when you transition Wednesday, Saturday to Tuesday, Saturday. Because if it's Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, you work 9 straight days in a row.
Yeah.
If it's Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, you actually get 2 days off in that 8-day span. So relative to this transition, yeah, you like it when it comes back this way because it gives you physically another day off, which hopefully that helps us.
Buzz, I know it's difficult to find positives during a losing streak, but Jace Carter, he had one game where he didn't shoot well, but overall, how he's integrated himself here recently, being part of the offense and really being a guy that you can depend on.
Very much stable competitor, high IQ, for sure one of us, very physical in how he plays on the glass. He's been a game changer for us in that regard. Very physical in how he defends, understands angles, uses his body. We need anybody, whether their name is Jace or Four or anybody, we need anybody to make a shot, to make what we call a buzz shot. Like, what's the shot that I would shoot? Whatever that shot is, we need to make that shot at a higher percentage. He's been 10 toes in from the very beginning, and we have over time, whether it was through injuries, whether it was through a winning streak, whether it was through a losing streak, he's been very consistent, and we are grateful for that and appreciate that, because it's for sure, whether we win or lose, being able to count on what he gives us has been very good.
Buzz, we appreciate your time, sir. Good luck. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Buzz.
Thank you. Buzz Williams there on the hotline. All right, we'll hit
Big
a break
one
here.
on Wednesday.
Yeah.
It really is. It's
some, the must-win term. It is a must-win.
It's a must-win for sure. And he mentioned the 9-9, and that is why you play that schedule you play. And whether they hit a 4-game losing streak to start conference 0-4, or if it's in between and you finish 14-4 in the league, like the key is, can you get out of it? They have enough time to get out of it. Hell, they could go 10-8 in conference, and I think we all know they'd be in.
Right.
9-9 puts you in a wild place going into the SEC tournament because it's just a complete unknown. But I think to get there, I truly believe they have to win this one because it's at home. It's against a South Carolina team that was looking great. They still look good.
They're top 25.
But they haven't, they were rolling towards the top 10 earlier, and they're not a top 10 team. They're a top 25 team. It's a tough team coming in. I just truly believe if these guys can beat a tough team at home in front of the home fans, the mindset, as great as it's been, like when he's meeting with, I don't at all think these guys have or will quit.
No.
There's nothing about anything I've seen from them as a collective or individuals over the last couple of years that says that. So they're going to keep playing hard, but I just think there has to be some kind of feel good. You beat a ranked team on Wednesday. You're going up in the crowd, doing the war hymn, and you go into a winning locker room, and then you have a few days before another big one. We've seen this enough to know that, to me, your chances of winning that next one go up exponentially if you win an important game at home. It just does. It's sports almost forever with that. So Mississippi State, they're up after that, right?
Yep.
You've got back-to-back home. Is it back-to-back home games? Then it's Georgia. No.
It's Georgia.
It's Georgia in between. Yeah. So you're going to go on the road to play a tough but not great Georgia team. If you go in there confident and off a win, but still desperate, still back against the wall, I think that's your formula to beating Georgia.
If you're a tournament team, you have to win those games.
But that's your formula to beating Georgia,
yeah,
is to win a massive one this Wednesday against a ranked team, get another one of those quad, I'm assuming that's quad 1 win, get that under your belt, go to Georgia at that point.
Yeah. Right.
Is it quad 1?
I would assume.
Yeah,
I
you
would
got to
assume
assume it is. So get another one of those, which seem to count more than damn near anything at this point, and then go to Georgia with confidence, but also desperation.
Yep.
That's the winning formula for this team right now because, you lose this one, you go, okay, they could still get to 9-9. but you've lost the one that could be the most meaningful to your resume. So this is I think this is a must-win Wednesday.
All right, we're going to hit a break here. We'll come back with some football stuff to get into. Right now, though, Costa Vida time. That's the place to go. You can get food at Reed Arena there when you go to the South Carolina game on Wednesday. They've got it right there right when you come inside. And also, they're at Olson this year. Costa Vida Fresh Mexican Grill going to have a concession stand at Olson down the third baseline, and their menu is awesome. They've got chili lime chicken and sweet pork burritos. They've got chili lime chicken and sweet pork bajo bowls, chips. They've got queso. They got key lime pie, and for cooler weather, they've got the Mexican hot chocolate there. And in the store, they're having the Costa Vida home run combo, which is a favorite of a couple guys that we saw a big weekend from. Jace LaVillette batted 600, a triple, did not have a home run. Thanks, Hayden Schott. But Ryan Targac had a huge weekend, or at least a huge Sunday. The home run combo is an entree with sweet pork enchiladas smothered in house-made queso with rice and beans and a large drink for $11.99. You want to go to Costa Vida, you can go in South College Station. You can obviously go there on A&M's campus at those two locations, Reed Arena during the games and, of course, at the baseball games. You certainly want to go to Olson Field and get that. Aggie owned and operated. Say hi to Holly when you go. 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. 4501 Mills Park Circle in South College Station. It's Costa Vida. Now, Billy, you know this about me. I don't pick fun typically. I respond, but I don't pick fun. I actually thought you threw a very nice first pitch. It wasn't great.
Yeah, it was mediocre.
But it wasn't like this. When I saw Bronny's tweet about it, because I hadn't seen it, I was like, oh, it's going to be terrible.
Listen,
it was fine.
Listen, Brauninger, of all people.
But it was funny. This tweet was funny.
Yeah, of all people, Brauninger, anything he can do to, you know those like birds that ride around on hippos' backs, or all the, there's a great white shark swimming through the waters, and there's those little, what are they called, menorah fish? No, that's not. I don't think menorah. That's like a Jewish word, I think. Whatever they're called, the little fish that latch on to the shark.
Minnows.
No, but whatever. They're size of minnows, and they're along for the ride.
That's Bronny.
And they're just going to glom on. If it involves social media, and some people call it clout chasing. I need to know the name of the fish that glom on to the bigger fish.
Matthew Dawson's there. He'll figure it out in 5 seconds.
What? Remora, not
Ramona.
Close. The remora fish. Bronny and Zane are remora fish. And they will do it to me. They'll do it to you. They'll do it to Slot. Like anything.
They can latch on to.
Anything that's getting any kind of activity. It's not about like, oh, I'm the great white shark. But if something's getting a lot of activity on social media and they see an opportunity to grasp on and be along for the ride, they'll do it.
I might start.
That's exactly what he was doing. Don't do it because you're better than that. They're not. That's the expectation. But now, to Bronny's credit, and I have to give him credit here, he was a good friend. He went up there with me and we were throwing underneath. I don't think even him, as much as he would like to come after me and have fun with this, and I, look, I wanted to strike. The little 8-year-old went and cut one right down the middle of the next. I didn't see it, but I got 100 texts about it. Now, apparently there was like a 6-year-old Sunday that I outdueled. So I'm somewhere between a 6 and an 8-year-old right now pitching. But I don't even think Bronny could sit in here this week when you have him. I was grooving strike after strike in the batting cage off the mound. Strike after strike after strike. Then went out there and was warming up. And to the jackass, forget this guy's name. I think it's this rude dog, whatever.
Oh,
don't follow him on Twitter. He kind of sucks. He's all right. But he's trying to make a joke. Oh, my God, he brought his own glove. Get back to me the next time someone finds out who you are and asks you to throw out a first pitch at a Little League game. The glove was just thrown to me by someone in the dugout, and like we're playing catch out there. I'm going to go out there with a glove. Why
Heck
not?
yeah.
I like the glove. I hadn't worn a glove, dude. I haven't worn a baseball mitt, as we used to call it, in years because I don't play softball. I don't have kids. So when do you go play catch with a glove? You know?
You don't.
Me and my neighbor or the people down the street, we don't go out and play catch. You probably should more because it felt good just having a glove on.
Yep.
But what got me, full credit, full disclosure, the ball 5 chant is real.
It affects you.
I get a firsthand glimpse. The ball 5 chant
and
got
you knew
to me.
it was coming.
I had no idea.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think of which. Wildfire Bill, the Dalai Lama, Sladalye, John Coffey from Traditions went up there, recruited them.
Oh, no.
To do the ball 5 chant. So I go out there and you step across that line and it's just me and then Slosh is catching. And I was humming them to him. There's video evidence right before. I was really worried playing catch with him because there were people behind him.
If you miss.
I was like, dude, I'm going to launch one and hit somebody right in the side of their head.
That would have been bad.
It's very possible with me throwing. So go out there, ball 5. And you know what it did? It sped me up. So instead of doing a real pitch, I basically was playing catch. I just did a little half-ass wind up and threw it.
Right.
And it was, as someone pointed out, it's a perfect pitch, 0-2 to a lefty. I'm getting the strikeout with that one. But it was just, it hit around the plate. Slosh did a great job of bailing me out. We didn't want a roller. That's what you don't want, roll to the backstop. So Slosh bailed me out. But ball 5, ball 6, ball 6. I was so close because I know he would have thrown it back to me. I was going to be the first person ever to throw out a second pitch.
Give me one more.
Second pitch. I wanted it bad. But it might have been Ball 7, balls. Then we could have gotten to a whole big thing.
Maybe your next birthday, you get to do it again.
51. I don't think we do that at 51.
I think just because. 50th, yeah. Just because. All right, let's do this.
It was fun though. That was a cool time. I liked it.
Let's hit a break. We'll come back. Let's talk some football. And we got to talk some baseball, obviously. We just talked about your pitch, but let's actually talk about the weekend itself. We'll get into that, plus much, much more. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. So, Billy, tell me if I'm out of my mind. Or
Wrong.
I mean, wrong,
No,
whatever.
I don't think you're never wrong.
Well, I mean, sometimes.
By the way, this hat looks like I like these aloe hats, but this one in particular.
Good.
Can you hear this? Can you hear this?
Yeah, I see the points. Yeah.
It's like a Super Mario brother almost.
It is.
Like,
now that you mention that, you're right.
It's like all this is air. Like, we need to figure this one out. It's too late to return it, so.
Jacoby Matthews to the portal. The way I phrased it this morning, it's kind of like a lot of these guys. Like, I'd prefer you stay, but if you're not going to be about that life, okay, let's move on. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Okay. I don't know that he had a choice. So, but that goes back to.
You see my point, though, yeah.
And it's not. Look, Mike Elko. Everybody jumped on Tommy Moffitt. I think Moffitt was, I've said it, I don't have to say it again. He was an incredible hire. Incredible. Like Colin Klein, Tommy Moffitt, those are ones that like just Holman Wiggins, certain ones just kind of you catch your attention, you know? And there were more than just that. It was just off the top of my head. But everybody, when a guy transfers, it's not always going to be because they couldn't handle the workouts or Tommy Moffitt or, you know, there are other requirements too, that including Moffitt's weight room and the strength and conditioning and whether you're about that life or not. But there are a lot of other things that go into this now. Suddenly, guys are being asked to 10 meals and eat with your teammates. And like Connor talked about the other day, you kind of rotate, kind of having a meal with a different coach each time, getting to know the whole staff, not just, you know, just dialing in with your position coach. And the guys are eating together. They're doing other things together. The workout groups and what's asked of them during the workouts. And you got a lot of guys falling out. That number is shrinking as they go, and that's a good thing. I don't think, you know, you're trying to get everyone to understand, like, this is a new degree of, this is what the standard is. This is what the expectation. If it was here, it's now here. If it was here, it's now here. It's a different level, no matter what anybody says. And there are certain people that if they're on an old staff and they're listening, I don't give a damn. Like, I'm not the one saying it. It's the players that you come in here, the ones we talk to. It's me knowing what's expected. I know what was expected. I know what is expected. It's freaking different. You got a problem with that, call me, text me. I don't give a damn. That's the facts. There it is, factual that you don't have to take a picture with this backwards hat because we're not using it. But it is what it is, man. The standard has been raised, and it's the classroom. It's attendance in class. It's tutoring. It is treatment. It is everything. It's team meetings, and it's being on time, and it's there's a lot more.
But that's what I mean by about that life, the new standard.
Yeah, and there is punishment when you don't meet that standard, and that punishment is not verbally spoken. It is actually handed down, and there are actual consequences for the action, or in some instances, lack of action. And so when it comes to certain players, and, you know, they're going in the portal because they have to go in the portal.
Right.
And in the case of Jacoby, I will be the first one to say I have not dug in further to see if there was a path back for him or not. But let's just say the easiest path at that point, and maybe the only path, was to go into the portal. And he's a good player. And I hope and think that he will be a good player. A lot of times a fresh start can change someone. He can play football. And I would never sit here and say, like, I think he's generally thought of, he's got a chance because he's a good kid.
Right.
Okay, I say good kid, good young man. So he can go and find the right fit and succeed. And you have to hope that for 99% of these guys. There'll be that 1% that if you know what you know, I'm not saying you root against them, but people think it's taboo to, you know, look, some people, whether they're 18 to 22, whether they're 48 to 52 or 80, some people are better than others. And there are exceptions where you go, yeah, I could really care less if that guy succeeds or fails. I can do that in my day-to-day life. I can do that with college athletes. I can do that with coaches. I can do that with 18-year-olds and 80-year-olds, where just whether it's business, whether it's sports, where you go, doesn't really matter to me. I don't sit there and really ever wish failure because it's not my life. But a guy like Jacoby, I hope for success on. Yeah. And most of these guys, you really hope they go find success because guess what? There are dudes that left other programs this year that have come to A&M that people at the other schools are going, oh, he wasn't that good anyway. Da, da, da. And now with Elko, the goal is to not have that many of those.
Right.
And it's interesting, moving off Jacoby for a minute. And again, Let's talk real quickly, though, about what – I want to go into something interesting about Elko and the portal. But with Matthews, how does that affect the safety position? I saw a lot of people saying he was a starter. I think he had worked his way off of being counted on to start this year by the time this all, to me, has been more than a month in the making, okay, him going in the portal. I think he had worked his way off of being viewed as someone that was going to be counted on to start. Was he a returning starter? Yes. But it's a coaching change. It's a new coaching staff. It's a new DB's coach. It's a new defense. At certain positions, there are no guaranteed starters. That was certainly one of them. With what A&M's added in the portal, with what was coming back, by no means was he a guaranteed starter. He was going to have to, just like all the guys that are still on the team, including a Bryce Anderson, who we all have penciled in, and I do expect to start, he's going to have to earn it. It's just the way it goes. Yep. The transfer portal guys coming in, they're going to have to earn it. Trey Jones, you have to earn it. I don't care who recruited you out of the portal. I don't care what your resume looked like or your tape looked like. It's different now, and those guys are out there trying to earn it every day, whether it's a returning starter like Bryce or a Jacoby, or whether it's one of the new portal guys, or whether it's a youngster like Dalton Brooks, who's coming off making a couple plays in the bowl game and who is a special athlete. Those guys have to earn it. So that part of it, the safety position, I think is pretty well – man, I think it's pretty well loaded. When you look at Saunders, Ricky Wright, who's not here yet but will be, mentioned Jones and Brooks and Kerr and Bryce Anderson. There's a lot of dudes. I think the safety position will be just fine. Would you like to have had a dialed-in Jacoby Matthews and what his potential is? Absolutely. Right. You'd be lying if you said you didn't. But what's interesting is the way Elko's recruiting. Is he going to – I look at a guy like – I think one of his philosophies is they're trying to not recruit these guys like some of the ones leaving A&M. And I don't mean Jacoby because he was playing, and there is tape, and you can – but some of these guys that have left A&M that were very highly regarded, that didn't play a ton or didn't really see – they were depth guys that weren't playing a lot for a team that went 7-5 and 5-7 the last 2 years. I think you'll see, in general, Elko trying to avoid that. Now, you could be a guy that played a ton for a bad team and has a lot of good tape, or you could be a guy that played a little for a really good team and has some good tape and he was younger. But, like, the guys like I think Ricks is a perfect example. That's the guy you take from Alabama. You take a guy that was a true freshman, that was very highly regarded, that you and everyone else remembers as a recruit. You've got Wiggins, who coached at Alabama, who could give you some really good intel on what kind of kid he is, what kind of player he is, okay? And, oh, by the way, Alabama wins at this level. So ideally, you'd love to get a starter from Bama. But what you got is a guy that has the talent to be a starter, that was on a defense with Kool-Aid McKinstry and another really good veteran corner. So he was likely to compete to start this year at Alabama, and you got him. What you don't take is the guy that's been there a couple years and has barely played, and there's reasons why. Either he's not good enough or you can take those guys, but the more of those guys you take, the more uncertainty and the more variables you're factoring in. So whether it's going and getting B.J. Mays from UAB, where you've got a ton of tape of him, you go, this dude can flat out play. Or if you're going to go to a Bama or a bigger program like a Georgia or an Ohio State or whatever and get a guy that hasn't played a lot, make sure you know all the details and know the reason why. So they've got a guy that is a 5-star talent that would have competed to start at a team that was in the playoffs last year. And there's a reason why he's out there impressing already. So the way you recruit the portal is really interesting. And from talking to Coach Elko on this set and off, it's really encouraging, and it excites you about the potential what A&M will do in the portal when you realize how much thought and attention to detail their approach has behind it.
Right.
There is a very real plan, both big picture and when it comes to individual players they're going after.
I do want to catch his interview with Andy Staples earlier today, so I'll circle back with
Yeah.
that. We had him, 2 weeks ago? He was great.
Yeah.
Looking forward to hearing from him and Andy Staples. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. We do need to talk baseball, not your baseball, Aggie baseball. That's coming up next here.
Real baseball.
Real baseball next on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. TexAgs Radio, final segment of the program. Let's do this. Let's open it up for Double Daves. It's time to end the day with Double Daves. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We'll hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Daves, who have been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. As a reminder, they are not open on Mondays. Billy, let's close out the show with a little baseball talk. Pitching, defense, offense. You got all three of those this weekend.
Yeah, you did. And you needed it, on Saturday to win a game. And it was nice to see them just, where every at-bat by the opponent mattered so much. Every pitch mattered so much there, clinging to that 2-0 lead like they were. That helps, you know. I know I get, here's one thing. Fans that, and I heard y'all talking this morning, I don't think everyone should do this. Oh, we've been burned so many times. I'm not going to let myself enjoy it, or I'm not going to let myself get my hopes up. To each their own. But, like, to me, watch the sport, and each year, each team is different.
Yep.
This has nothing to do with Aggie sports. Like, and nothing that's happened in any other Aggie sport truly affects this. It doesn't affect Jim Schlossnagle, who's been here only 2 years and gone to a Final Four in the World Series. And by the way, 2 years ago doesn't affect this. But what you can do is go, I got full confidence in this coach, in this coaching staff, based on what I've seen in a couple years, based on his resume. But also, I'm watching this baseball team. You can find some things that you can state facts in. They look different physically. They do have potentially / likely 3 first-round draft picks. Might be early with Grahovic, but MLB would tell you he's a future first-rounder.
Yep.
People that know a lot more than us, scouts and stuff, would look at him and say, so probably 3 future first-round picks playing. Like, that's a third of your lineup. A ton of experience. A great vibe and energy in the clubhouse. They're hitting better than they have probably at either the first 2 years under Slosh at this time of year, which, by the way, at this time of year, they're playing teams like Penn, like Seattle or Portland State and McNeese and Wagner. I mean, these are the first 2 weekends of how A&M's typically played. So you can go back to the last 2 years and just say, this looks a lot better than the last 2 years have. Here's another fact. They're throwing more strikes. Here's another fact. They have more pitching depth. These are all things you can look at, and to me, you should be more encouraged by than worried about, oh, it's A&M. Oh, it's A&M. No, it's Jim Schlossnagle. It's this team. It's this coaching staff. It's this talent. I have raised my expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And after 2 weekends of watching with a Tuesday game in between, my hopes have gone up that this team can reach Omaha. Am I guaranteeing anything? Am I thinking it's going to be a season with no ups and downs? No. Am I sure they're going to go up to Globe Life and win all 3 games against Arizona State and USC? No. Do I know they're going to go into Austin and beat Texas after that? No. I know, though, that this is going to be a good baseball team. And I know they have a chance to go win games over these next 4 and come out looking really good. But the competition level is about to go way up, as it is for most teams in college baseball. Most teams have not played real programs yet. Unless you've been in one of these little weekend tournaments, like Arkansas played Oregon State, and there's some exceptions. Most teams around the country in the Power 5 have not played quality teams. So this weekend, it's about to step up for a lot of teams around the country, including A&M. So all you have to go on is that. They've played better against these caliber teams through 7 games, than they did last year or the year before.
Right.
We know that. What we also know is that they, we know it's going to be a formidable lineup. We know there's room for improvement. I mean, there are certain guys that are going to have to hang on to their spots. There's still competitions ongoing where the best guy's going to win. So your lineup should only get better.
Mm-hmm.
Your pitching staff, to me, is only going to get better as they figure things out. And you figure out who's your Sunday guy, who's your, who can you move now into weekend relief, who's your Tuesday guy. I think it's only getting better, and that's pretty damn exciting to me. I think this team certainly has a look. They're going to lose games. They're not going undefeated. They haven't beaten anyone good yet. That's okay. That's okay. There are a lot of teams in the country right now, and A&M last year and the year before, that were losing to teams like McNeese and Wagner. Now, the Aggies dropped a series last year to, was it Portland State or was it Seattle? I think it was Portland State. They dropped a series the year before to Penn. It's nice that they haven't done that. But if you drop even a game here or there, you look at LSU, you look at Mississippi State, you look at all over the SEC, Florida, I think there are teams that have dropped games to that caliber of team. And that, by the way, that's not the end of the world either. But to go and win them all, Texas fans won't shut the hell up, about their pitching this weekend. I don't know that San Diego or Cal Poly are worth a damn. They don't either. They just run their mouths. But they lost one to San Diego. And guess what? It ain't the end of the world. It really doesn't matter. They won the series. So to go out and win the way A&M has, I think is beyond impressive. There's been a couple games in there where, those middle innings you've had to fight in close games. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But they've generally just ripped the cover off the ball, put up goose eggs, thrown strikes, and dominated inferior competition. It's what you're supposed to do.
What do you think USC is thinking, right? In Arizona State, like we're talking about the level of opponent that A&M's played. What do you think they're thinking when they take on A&M?
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it, Billy. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Appreciate you. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Radio here on a Monday. Tomorrow on the program, I know we've got some good stuff lined up for you. I just don't have it in front of me. Doesn't matter. It's going to be good. I know we'll have Justin Lanham talking some hoops. We'll have some baseball sprinkled in. That's going to do it for the program, though. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We will see all of you tomorrow.